You okay? You on the ball. You're on the ball. It's now time to call order. The Southern University Board of Supervisors Academic Affairs Committee meeting. Before we do that, I want to say welcome to Southern University Board meeting. And thank you for being here. And I pray that everybody's being safe in this unusual heat wave we're going through. So with that being said, I'm going to ask that the head of the Academic Affairs Committee, which is Dr. Leon Tarver, the second call his committee to order. Dr. Tarver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, may we have a roll call?
Absolutely. Dr. Leon Tarver II,
Here.
Mr. Sam Gilliam, Attorney Jody Amadei, Mrs. Maple Gaines, Mrs. Ann Smith, Dr. Orlando Williams, Mr. Myron K. Lawson.
Present. Next item on the agenda, I think Dr. Tarver will take invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We now have an adoption of the agenda. We have a motion to do so. Properly moved. Second. And second that we adopt the agenda. All those in favor, let them sign aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Item 6 on the agenda, public comments. Are there any public comments at this time?
I think we missed Mr. Chair.
Missed who?
Invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Well, yes.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome to the stage Ms. Ariel Leatherwood. Ariel is a proud 12th grade student at the Southern University Laboratory School, where she has been for the past 4 years. Her proud parents are Linnell Leatherwood and Benito Leatherwood Garrett. Her father is a proud graduate of the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Ariel has served as Miss Junior on the Centennial Court for the 22-23 school year. During her time here at Southern University Laboratory School, she has an active member of the Youth and Government Club, Senior Debater Girls Track Team, Girls Volleyball Team, and Girls Basketball Team. She was a part of the team that earned the state championship title in the 21-22 school year and the district champs this past school season. Ariel attends House of Restoration Outreach Ministries in New Rose, Louisiana, and is active in the youth ministry. She's on the honors path here at the laboratory school and takes dual enrollment courses at Southern University A&M College, where she has maintained a 4.0 GPA. Ariel plans to attend Tulane University and major in nursing with the goal to one day become a nurse practitioner. Her awesome personality, infectious smile, and genuine kindness leaves a lasting impression on everyone she meets. She enjoys being creative and customizing items, engaging in digital editing, and cherishing time with her very active nephew. She also enjoys spending quality time with her family and friends. Ariel, you now have the floor.
Chairman Lawson, President Shields, members of the board, and distinguished guests, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you.
I don't see one. Thank you so much for that.
We are now ready for our special presentations.
Invocation.
Oh, I'm really bound for morning. Invocation of pledges.
Reverend James Mitchell. Joseph James Mitchell. Reverend.
Heads bowed, dear God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for grace and for mercy that you've extended into all of our lives. Thank you for our health. We thank you for all of those who've arrived here and for these public servants who've come to do your bidding. We ask that you would give them clear heads and pure hearts, that they'll serve this system in a way that those who traverse these hallowed walls will recognize they have something that they can offer to the world to make it a better place. Bless, we pray, every decision that's made. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Second, man. Second. Reverend? Just want to verify.
This was something.
Pastor, anyone that's audio. Yes, Pastor. Who you pastor? Thank you.
You know, they're gonna pick you.
Hey, you guys everybody know, hey, man, they're praying for you. It's good when you stand up and walk out. All right. Maybe the only time you see him this year. Thank you. Thank you, Pat. And I was thinking I did play it. Still here? Go to play. Now, I'll come to you first. Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Thank you. Do the best you can with that word.
No, I didn't even start. That's not, no, that's correct. Oh. I didn't do anything. Back to our agenda. We're looking at items 3, special presentations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Before I get into that, I want to recognize everyone's distinguished in this audience, but these are folk I think we should recognize for their efforts. They have facilitated millions, literally millions of dollars on the behalf of Southern University. One of our very own, I want to recognize her for being here, State Representative Dr. Barbara Carpenter, if you will. Let's give her a round of applause. Another distinguished young man that's not afraid to ask for help for Southern University, one of our own, and that's going to bring us some exceptional talent that you're going to be excited to see during the Bayou Classic. And exposure he's brought to Southern University is very, very appreciated. Let's recognize our representative, Ken Brass. Let's stand up. Good young, talented engineer. We're happy to have him. Thank you, Dr. Tarver. I'm going to ask that we recognize item 3A, Above and Beyond Award. Okay. Okay. If you will, we have another distinguished young man, Dr. Penning. Will you come up and help us recognize the recipient?
Thank you, Ms. Chairman, Ms. Vice Chair, President Chancellor, absolutely distinguished and honorable members of the Southern University Board of Supervisors, my colleagues here, the administration, and of course, our faculty, our staff, our students, and friends of this university. I say good morning. It is definitely a distinct honor for me to bring this individual up. When the call was made by this individual's alma mater, they responded to the call. A 2-time graduate of the Southern University and A&M College. They graduated with both their baccalaureate degree and their master's degree in nursing, and earned their doctorate degree from Nova Southeastern University in Florida. Their professional career, as it does with most of our PhD individuals, started as a faculty right here at the Southern University. For 10 years, they served as a faculty member in the School of Nursing. It is based on their accomplishments that they were recruited to start the inaugural nursing program at Baton Rouge Community College, where they served as the inaugural faculty, department head, associate dean, and then dean of the college, and were then elevated by the BRCC and LCTCS administration to serve as provost and vice chancellor for academic affairs. It was at that time, enjoying a peaceful career as provost, when the call was made by the Southern University when our institution was placed on SACS warning. And I was asked to put together a team to help this university get out of that predicament. This individual, without hesitation, came and joined her alma mater, providing leadership in institutional effectiveness, accreditation, but more importantly, personally serving as a narrative writer to many of the SAC standards, including those standards that dealt with board compliance. Because of their hard work and the collective effort of this entire university, we successfully navigated the decennial reaffirmation process with no findings. When I had the distinct privilege appointed by this board to serve as interim chancellor at Southern University in Shreveport, this individual stepped in seamlessly to serve as our SAC COC liaison, continuing the operations in the Office of Institutional Effectiveness. But they were not satisfied with just keeping the status quo. They said, Dr. Rapin, you brought it to this level, but we'd like to take it further. And I said, by all means. They introduced technology solutions to planning and assessment that just earned this university in July the Impact Award, one of the greatest recognitions by Watermark Solutions, which is a global leader in providing planning and assessment technology platforms in this nation. I would pause over here because I think it's only fitting. Something this board, our chair, our leadership always talks about mentorship and trying to prepare the next generation of leaders. And for that, I don't think I'm well-designed and well-qualified, but I'm gonna bring Dr. Christopher Ruffett, an individual that works in the unit, a proud graduate of Southern University, been here 2 years, who's been mentored by our nominee. Dr. Ruffin, if you'd close this out, please.
Thank you, Dr. Penny. Dr. Tony Monaghan, a mentor, thought leader, and visionary, please accept this declarative statement as gratitude for the exceptional mentorship, effective communication, and empowering support Dr. Monaghan has provided while she's been employed at this illustrious institution. Her guidance has been transformative, and I'm genuinely grateful for her positive impact on my personal and professional growth. One of the things I aspire most about Dr. Monaghan is her ability to communicate effectively. And our work in institutional effectiveness exceeds often a traditional 40-hour work week, but Dr. Monaghan ensures that we have a healthy work-life balance. She has a unique talent for conveying complex concepts in a clear and accessible manner, making it easy to grasp and apply new concepts in practical situations. However, what truly sets Dr. Monaghan apart is her unparalleled ability to empower those around her. Dr. Monaghan has consistently shown that she believes in me and her team and allows me to step out of my comfort zone. On a personal note, reflecting on the invaluable lessons and inspiration that she's provided, my red beans and rice are now a fan favorite as she's provided and given me her special recipe. To that, Dr. Monaghan, and to the board. In closing, I would like to say how much I appreciate Dr. Monaghan as the remarkable mentor that she's been. Her mentorship, effective communication, and empowering nature has significantly impacted me in my life. And for that, I'm truly indebted. Dr. Monaghan, thank you.
And on that note, to our distinguished board, I am pleased to present to you Dr. Tony Monaghan.
Good morning, everyone. I am truly honored to receive this award. And of course, none of this would be possible without the support of my team. I'd like to thank my team, Dr. Peening for his support and his leadership of our unit, Mr. Lawson, Chair, Dr. Whitfield, us Vice Chair, to all of the board members, and a special thank you to Ms. Ann Smith for starting the Above and Beyond Award and for the years of support that you provided as we navigated our way through accreditation and meeting the goals of the institution. For that, I say thank you. Thank you, everyone.
A friend of mine, the head coach and coached LeBron James. And he told me something I never forgot. He said, "You're impressed with what you that he does on game day. I'm impressed with what you don't see. I'm impressed with Dr. Bernard because of what I don't see. There's no way that she produces what she does without spending countless hours. I'm talking about 24 hours at a time. Dr. Emeritus does not look at the clock. And Dr. Bernard. So thank you so much for what I don't see, for what I'm feeling right now. So we're very proud of you. Very good.
Test. Test. You got anything? All right.
Which one of you?
This is the one that finished. They just added this.
We're gonna do this.
The special recognition of
You
Harry
gonna do
Williams. No, that's you.
I don't even know this guy.
I don't need it. I can take it. Sure. You just come up with it. Yes, yeah, one
He-
is
is he about that high? It doesn't say this shit right here. Okay. We now go to item 3B, special recognition of President Harry Williams, the CEO of the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. We'd like to invite President Williams to the platform, the podium.
Thank you for coming.
Williams, thank you very much.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am honored to be here with you today on behalf of our founder, Dr. N. Joyce Payne. We are honored to be a part of your meeting today. I'm here in Baton Rouge at the request of Chancellor John Pierre. My son just completed his first year of law school here at Southern, and we I said, I don't want to bring a suit today, but he said, pack a suit and come on over because we want you to speak before this board today. And I said, yes, sir, I will do it. And I'm honored because we get up every single day representing 47 publicly supported historically Black colleges and HBCCs. That we represent, and more to close to 300,000 students. And we've been able to raise close to $500 million in honoring Justice Thurgood Marshall, a man who dedicated his life to social justice, social equality, and creating an opportunity to change the world. And so the students that we lift up here at Southern, they're part of that legacy. And so when I get up and go around the country and meeting with our students and meeting with our leadership, I get excited, and I get excited about this opportunity here that we are that's been bestowed upon me. I am proud of the fact that we've been working with the Southern Foundation, the Descendants and Reconciliation Committee. They have agreed to allow the Thurgood Marshall College Fund to serve as the organization that will provide scholarships to those descendants. Dr. Joseph Stewart, who is a proud Southern graduate, is also someone that we have worked very closely with. I'm excited about being here today because my very first visit to this campus was in 2001. I believe President Tolliver was the president of this university. I met with Chancellor Ed Jackson, and we talked about how we were going to work together in a way that would increase enrollment, because at that time the state was going through some what they call minimum admissions requirements, where they would change all the requirements, and we were trying to figure out a way how to support. And I was currently at North Carolina A&T at the time, and when I made that visit, I had no idea that 22 years later that I would be back here, and my son would be in law school here. So, you know, God has a way of bringing you back home. So I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to be with you today, and I look forward to continue to work with President Shields and all the other chancellors as part of this great system. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Lee.
The next item on our agenda, 3C, Artificial Intelligence. I'd like to ask Chancellor Pierre, will you make the presentation, please, of the IBM personnel here?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Dr. Tarver, members of the committee, and members of this board. Today, I have the unique honor of having a presentation done on a project that we were really encouraged to encounter by Dr. Derek Warren. And after speaking to Chairman Lawson and President Shields, I said, let us be the test case pilot for this particular project, which I think can be a transformational project, hopefully for not only Southern University Law Center and the rest of the system. I'll ask Dr. Warren, who has had a long career prior to coming here with IBM, to introduce the members of the IBM team.
Thank you, Chancellor Pierre. Good morning to my Southern University family. Chairman Lawson, Vice Chairman Whitfield, President Chancellor Shields, to the distinguished and honorable members of the Southern University Board of Supervisors. Again, to my Southern University family, to my Dean, Donald Andrews. It is an extreme honor and privilege to share some of the innovative work that is being done and going to continue being done at the Southern University. As a Southern University trained computer scientist, I was taught by giants, and I was always encouraged to problem solve, to use my curiosity to create and to make our lives better. And so without further ado, I'm going to ask my IBM colleagues, Alexis, Rick, and Spark, to come up and show you some of that innovativeness that actually was sparked by Chairman Lawson. He called and said, can we use AI to help solve some of our problems? And then Chancellor Pierre said, listen, let me be first. And so without further ado, I'm going to ask the IBM team to please come forward and share some of this solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Alexis Coons, and I am your IBM AI Applications Representative. I just first wanted to start by saying thank you for having us here today. It's been a pleasure touring your beautiful campus over the last day, and it's a pleasure being here. So we are here today to show you how Southern University can adopt AI to make an immediate beneficial impact to your students, guardians, and staff. Imagine today you're 20 years old applying to Southern University. You go online to apply, but cannot locate what is needed to do so. As a Gen Z applicant who does everything online, you try calling the phone number listed on the website, but it's 10 p.m. and no one answers. you end up frustrated and unable to complete your application. We learned from members within Southern University system that this is a consistent problem in students not being able to get their questions answered. What we are going to show you today will fix this problem. It is called IBM Watson Assistant. Watson Assistant is a market-leading conversational AI platform designed to help your students get the answers to their questions immediately at any time of the day with just a few clicks, leaving your university staff with the additional time needed to answer those more complex questions. For reference, we implemented the same AI solution at Rockhurst University and at Purdue's School of Management, and the AI assistant became Purdue's second highest generator of new applications. And they saw that 53% who engaged with the AI assistant before applying were eventually accepted into the school. Additionally, Rockhurst's AI assistant has saved the university over 260 employee hours a month. And 60% of their prospects who reached the admissions page proactively engaged with their virtual assistant for this help. Over the past few weeks, we've had the pleasure of working with the wonderful Law Center to develop a custom solution for their website based off the feedback we heard from the different department heads within the Law Center on questions they are being asked most by their students. A huge thank you to Chancellor Pierre for working with us on this. Now, we understand you have a current admissions chatbot. Today, what we will show you, shortly here, we'll show you how your old chatbot is very different than the AI assistant. IBM Watson Assistant is made strictly for enterprises. What that means is that it brings that extra security and control, guaranteeing that your students are receiving the correct information from their questions ethically. Unlike something called ChatGPT, which I know is labeled on the agenda for today's session, and although similar in utilizing AI technology and large language models, ChatGPT was made for anyone and everyone and pulls answers from unreliable and untraceable locations. IBM Watson Assistant has a back-end component that can be controlled by the operational level at each department, in which they will have access to review every question that was asked, what the AI responded with, and if they don't like how the AI responded, they can simply go in, edit how it responded, and in turn, the model learns from that edit. This does not need to be managed by IT. This is a no-code, no hardware required solution. It is extremely easy to manage and maintain within the different departments of Southern University, as each department has the knowledge base to do so. This will also allow your departments to improve the data that is on your website and system by providing analytics on topics that need more information. If you choose to move forward with this solution, we have the flexibility to start very small or as large as you would like. We can start with one school, one department, like we've started with the Law Center here, and grow it from there, or alternatively, we can implement it school-wide. Now, this solution is best shown, not spoken about, so we have Spark here, who is our engineer who created the solution for the Law Center. We're excited to show it to you here, so I'll hand it over to him.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for your time to meet with us today. As you can tell, we're very excited to showcase our Watson AI assistant and how we can make improvements at SCLC. First off, just want to recap with what Alexis said. I just want to expand just a little bit. In addition to just answering questions, what we allow the assistant to do is put guardrails around the data. So just in case, and we'll see in just a few moments, if questions that were asked, the information does not reside on the website or the data you feed it, we tell them we just don't have it, or we can provide alternate solutions. So as you'll see in just a few moments, our goal here really is to empower an AI assistant with the wealth of knowledge that's currently on SCLC's EDU website. So it's different web pages, different links that's scattered across everywhere. Oftentimes, a lot of students may come to the website looking for information, but sometimes you have to get the right combination of clicks and different sections of the web page to find what you're looking for. Now, just to see it in action, I know we've all been waiting for just a little bit. What I have up here on the left-hand side, and let me zoom in just a little bit. On the left-hand side is our current admission spot for SCLC. On the right-hand side, we have our Watson AI assistant. It's just on a mock SULC webpage. So I'm going to take you through a quick, I guess they speak. Sorry about that. Thank you. So I'm going to take you on a quick user story journey as to what they may experience from beginning to end. So let's say I'm the 20-year-old or just anyone interested in SELC. They've heard great things about the programs and the campus. So they go to the SELC website and naturally, because they're interested, they ask, what is the application process? So took the question, took a moment to search the website, and also responded just like a natural, just like a human would. So as we see here, and this information is somewhere on your websites. It may look at multiple websites and passages to form this answer, but we can see step-by-step instructions as well as some additional links that they might be interested in, some costs, dates, and if they want to, they can click on here for more information. Now, naturally, after finding about the application process, they want to know how much does it cost. So let's say we have John who wants to go to school part-time, but is not a resident, so he's from outside of Louisiana. So again, what we're doing, going through the different sections to find out if there's any information about this. And it looks like for right now, I think we're having a bit of issues here. I'm sorry, I think my internet session got disconnected earlier. So what will happen is, again, it's going to search the website and look through the different parts of the pages and passages that has this information. And once it does find the information, it's going to come back with an answer that pertains to this question. So we can see that the total cost of attendance for a part-time non-resident student is this amount, and also includes certain components to it. And again, if they like, they can click on here for more information. And let's say John's parent, Spanish speaking, and they were talking to John about some JD MBA dual programs, and they're Spanish, most fluent in Spanish. So they just went to a chatbot and asked a question without much thinking and thinking they would just understand. So what we're able to do is take this Spanish question and we translate it, again, searching through the website, and same process. But this time we're responding in Spanish. And it's not just limited to Spanish. I use Spanish for this example, but it's compatible with pretty much any language that's translatable today. And throughout the school year, a student may be curious about how many more credits they need to graduate. So imagine if we were integrated with your backend system, with the student profiles and databases. What we can do is immediately pull up, hey, it's Alexis, and it seems like you need 3 more credits to graduate. So we can provide them a path and suggest some courses that are still available. So we can ask some questions like, you want in-person, would you like virtual? And as we go through these questions, we can also ask if there's a preference for the course designations. If they don't have a preference, then they'll take all the preferences, take into account the student profile, and provide some courses that are available. And if they like, they could say they want to register a course for one of these courses. And after that, we'd be able to register a course for the students. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, if we simply don't have the information on the question that's being asked, for this question, let's say it's summer break is coming up and a student is looking for a part-time job. And I searched the website for part-time jobs. I didn't find any information. So what we're expecting here is guiding the student some additional paths. So we'll see that it didn't find any information. So the student could either create a ticket or they could speak to an agent. And we could set this up where only the speak to an agent button shows up during the hours of the agent, maybe 8 to 5. We could have both. It's your preference. And let's say the student wants to create a ticket. What we can do is also bring in the context of the question that was asked or the question that was asked and simply enter the email address where the agents can follow up. That about sums it up for demo. I would love to take any questions or expand on anything I covered so far.
I just had a comment. I was just going to suggest to the board or tell the board I'm actually in the process of writing a children's book and had some writer's block and used ChatGPT to. I actually put the text that I had in, highlight the sections where I had the writer's block, and it dang near wrote the book for me. I was like, I should have just called ChatGPT from the start. But it has been helpful. Myron and I was talking. He uses it for letter writing, so this would be a very useful tool, not just for finding out what's going on in curriculums and things on campus, but to help the students navigate some other terrain as well. So awesome presentation. Thank you so much.
Mr. Rutledge?
Good morning. Thank you for your presentation. I'm actually fascinated by this and have done a lot of reading to try to educate myself on it, and I do use ChatGPT on occasion. My question regarding this particular presentation that you made, in my reading, what I've discovered is that some of it is still in beta, but it's heavily reliant on the accuracy of the information that's in the database from which it pulls the information. My question is for the Law Center or for SUNO or for some of our other campuses, do you front load and build a database of basically frequently asked questions, or does the programming pull from the existing websites? That's number one. And number two, because I did see it would stand to reason that when you went prime time, the thing said it was stumped a bit. What kind of QA process do you have embedded in this to make certain that this information that's being communicated to prospective students is accurate?
Thank you for the questions. So regarding the first question around the data that it has access to, so as of right now, I may have mentioned it earlier, what we've done is just scraped most of the web pages on SULC.edu. So different links, different sections, and that's the only data we're giving it. So let's say, unlike ChatGPT, if, as we saw here, if we ask a question where the data does not have the information, we're not going to give it a false answer that sounds right and sounds smart. So we can put guardrails around that, and there's many ways to configure that, such as confidence scores, semantic scoring. There's many ways to guardrail that. And the second question, I'm sorry, could you just touch a little bit more on that?
What kind of quality assurance are you going to have to ensure that the information that's being provided to folks is accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. So as of right now, this is just a developer environment. But if we do decide to move forward, we'll have our developer teams and our data analysts and data scientists just analyze all the data, make sure that we're testing all these questions, making sure the confidence is looking right, the information we're giving is correct. And there's also, as I mentioned earlier, there's many ways to configure it. We can drag and drop confidence scores as to if the confidence is below 20%, then show them create a ticket, speak to an agent, below 10%, etc. So it's highly dependent on how you want to set it up, but we have processes around that as well.
Please go ahead.
In addition to this technology, this particular aspect of it, in your practice, can you share maybe an example or two, and this is for any of you, in your experience with other higher ed institutions, some of the things that they may be doing to take advantage of this AI technology over and above this, that perhaps if it's not, it should be on our radar?
Yes. So, sorry, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rick Weaver, part of the team that built this demonstration. And I like to use the term drinking our own champagne as well. And so I've got one use case that we talk about quite a bit with an IBM for our HR system. So as an employee, as a manager, we're actually using the same technology and AI assistant that has really streamlined how we do a lot of the things, either from a management point of view or an employee point of view. I will say over the last year, probably the projects that my team done is probably 60 to 70% just focused in this area. We've seen it, client facing, student facing, internal processes and things of that nature. And so this is probably the thing that's keeping us the busiest over the last year or so.
Yeah, I was going to add to that too, right. As I mentioned earlier, we did implement this at Purdue School of Management and Rockhurst University, and they saw a 1 in 5 students that came to their page to apply interacted with the chatbot, and then eventually 52% of those that did interact with the chatbot were accepted into the school. So there was a high, interaction rate there as soon as we implemented it, and now they're taking it across their entire school platform.
Thank you. Any other further questions? Mr. Gilliam?
I think I'm on. You may have already answered it with your response just now, but these questions appear to have been law center specific.
Yes.
Are we already adapted to, say, the university, this landmass as a whole? Do we envision carrying this to Shreveport and New Orleans? Are we already there?
Very good question. Thank you for that. This proof of concept was focused with the School of Law here. The design ultimately is you can take this enterprise wide. I like to talk about adoption in terms of like a crawl, walk, run kind of approach. And the crawl phase is just proving the technology, seeing the value. As you saw with the demonstration, it was focused on public information available on the website from a law school point of view. But as we move into the walk and the run phase, typically we see things like expanding against other campuses, other departments. You saw that this was primarily focused on textual input. We have some clients that start to add voice, so not only text, but also voice. We have some clients that actually have gone through and actually added an avatar. So you're actually talking with an avatar and the responses from the AI assistant is like you're talking to a person. So lots of different ways to kind of move from the crawl, walk, run phase, but it's very common to prove it out and then expand that across other campuses or departments.
Can't hear you. Can you finish?
Put it back on.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah. And if I may add just one quick point, the thought around this is that it's machine learning. So as questions are asked, we are able to correct it. So if there are errors on the website, the thought is that we will be able to correct those errors so that the answer the next time is better. And this is a scalable solution that can touch every facet of the Southern University system, whether that's HR, whether that's the College of Business, whether that's ag, whether that's questions to the Board of Supervisors. There can be an AI assistant that is designed to interact, respond, so that there's no more, quote unquote, calls not being answered. The intent is to make our lives easier, to improve our student as well as our Southern University stakeholder experience. And again, it's machine learning at its best and at its finest.
Any other further questions? Dr. Warren, you want to close?
Well, I'll just say thank you again for this opportunity. As an IBM alumnus and as a computer scientist, we can use technology to make our lives better. And I'm excited about the fact, and I want to see Southern University as the first HBCU that implements an AI solution, because we are innovators here at Southern. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Mr. Chairman.
Morning again. I wanted to say thank you. We've been communicating about this on a couple of calls, and I'm excited about the opportunities. And what Dr. Warren just alluded to is exactly what I would like to see. This as the model for the HBCU, certainly in PWIs as well. And I think we're going to do that. And the intent here is to make sure no call is not immediately unanswered, right? And that folk get comfortable with this technology. So I do realize, Dr. Merrick, that we're going to have to invest in our communications side of it. We want to get on the front end of it. High school students ought to be touched and geared towards when they search for college opportunities, Southern University automatically appears in that search. And there's ways to do that. I guess that's the business I'm in. I know you can do it, and we should have been doing it. On another interesting note, so thank you very much again for pushing us down this road. On a great note and a sad note at the same time, our beloved team member will be leaving us very soon. And I'm talking about Dr. Derek Warren. Derek has brought millions of dollars to Southern University system through IBM, millions of dollars worth of talent to Southern University. I've known him many, many years. He was my SGA president, board member, Jerron Young. Sat in many seats that you're going to be sitting in as you go through serving as president and board member. He always had that smile he has now. He has no natural enemies. I've been searching for him. Nobody says anything bad about Derek, and rightfully so. So I am very, very saddened to lose him. And we're losing him to a rival. Derek will be the next dean of the College of Business for Grambling State University. Let's give him a round of applause. And please tell my dear friend, President Gallo, that was a very ingenious low-down move. And I envy him for it. But Derek, we are very proud of you and what you meant to Southern. I know your selling Southern will not end at your selling Grambling. So thank you, and we commend you on your successes over there. All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And now we return to our agenda, and I want to ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gilliam, seconded by Mr. Amadi. All of those in favor, let it know on the sign of aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, so adopted. Item 6, public comments. Are there any public comments at this time in reference to any item on the agenda? Seeing and hearing none, we move on to item 7. Action items A and B. A, request approval of curriculum change, SUBR, for the College of Science and Engineering. Dr. Sahu, who would make that presentation? We can't hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my President Chancellor. We have an established process where new ideas come based on demand, based on looking at scanning the external environment. And doing that, the faculty in the College of Sciences and Engineering came up with the idea that it is time for us to offer a construction management program. And they floated the idea, they looked at what is being done at other institutions and how it is relevant to us. And it's important to know that prior, 2 years ago, we were considered as a regional university, not even a state university, even though we have all this footprint in terms of research accomplishments and in terms of our size and the complexity of the programs we offer, the diversity, the breadth of program that we offer. But in its own wisdom, the state has labeled us as now recognized us as an HBCU in the Board of Regents or in the LSU system of higher education. So this allows us to provide programs that's geared towards serving our population that we tend to gravitate towards in terms of attracting students, developing these students, and graduating and placing them. So this effort is in the right direction, Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, that it'll provide a much needed degree, much needed education to the minorities in the state of Louisiana and equip them to be construction managers and also to provide a service to the state. It has gone through the faculty, it has gone through the curriculum committee, all the all the approval process now. We're asking you to, requesting you to approve it so that it can be presented to the Board of Regents. We have already notified the Board of Regents the intent to start this program, but it can only be started with your review and approval. I'll be happy to take any questions, sir.
Thank you. Any questions of Dr. Sahu on item A?
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved by Mr. Gilliam, seconded by Ms. Smith, that we approve item A. All of those in favor, let it be known, sign of aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Item B, request approval of curriculum revision, another SUBR program, a Master of Science in Criminal Justice. Dr. Sahu?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. What we did last year was looking at a pathway to graduate on time. And so we looked at this was done at the entire university in all programs. We said, look at your curriculum, look at it takes time for a student to graduate, both in the undergraduate and the graduate program. And this conversation, this critical review resulted in looking at what we offer to the students, how it can be offered better so that it'll be cost effective, but it will also utilize faculty talent better, the availability of the faculty. And so again, going through the same process, review process, where it happens at the program and at the faculty level, there was a realization in the criminal justice program, an opportunity not to offer so many electives, but to streamline the course offerings in a more predictable, more efficient way. So a student who is coming in can visualize that if I take these courses in this sequence on this semester, I will graduate on time. So this is one of the many examples that you'll see coming out of SUBR academic programs, and effort to enhance student outcomes by communicating to the students that these are the courses that will be offered at these semesters. And if you take it in this sequence, and we will stand ready to assist them, they will graduate on time. This also will have a positive impact in terms of our formula funding, because the Board of Regents is moving away from
is T.H. Harris Learning Center. I don't think you've seen this. This is another project that's coming from HERF dollars, working closely with Mr. Huey Lawson, with the Title III group and HERF, and also Ms. Simone Whitmore, who is kind of managing the project. As you know, you have out in that area when you have kids that are registering, they've been exposed to the elements. Well, this is going to take care of that. That project is moving forward very quickly. And again, this is another project that our goal is to have a groundbreaking and something of that nature before the end of this year. My AI is a little slow, but yeah.
You need an upgrade.
The next is this. This is our public safety building, our police station. I know we talked about that a bit. This is kind of elevation and the rendering of that. That building is going to be located right as you're heading toward the dorms, right as that road forks. It's going to be right in that particular area. The discussion was two reasons why. First of all, infrastructure was provided there, such as water and gas and everything that you needed. The second thing is it was felt that that was a good location because, again, you're moving into where all the kids are staying. So we felt that would make the parents feel very comfortable to seeing that there's, some protection and some, police station right there. So that project is going forward, is into design. And all these HERF projects, the goal is to have these groundbreakings before the end of this year. This project is the STEM building. We are moving forward with that. That project is now with we actually have our CMAR partner on board. In fact, we probably will be doing a groundbreaking, hopefully before the end of the year, because James Hall, which is partly on the property where this is going to be built, will be demoed. That probably is not going to happen sometime until end of the year, beginning of next year, because James Hall will be utilized for this upcoming semester. But James Hall will be demoed, so we'll probably be establishing something for that project. And Ms. Simone Whitmore is the senior project manager on this project. And this is the business building. I mean, Derry asked me about the business building when I walked in. The business building is moving forward. I talked to FP&C this morning. We have moved from schematic design, and we are moving into to design development on this particular project. I'm glad that we did that, because at one time we thought we were being held up because we were waiting for the CMAR, but now we are not. We're moving into design development, so that project is moving forward. And I'm sure Dean of the Business Center would be glad to hear that. So, do you have another?
Yeah, you have.
Oh, and this is one that you haven't seen. This is the amphitheater. It's outdoor classroom amphitheater, which will be built right in front of Mayberry. And if you notice, it's designed in the shape of a bell. And I think at the last Founders Day program, they talked about what the bell represented. The bell that was once used at Southern University to call students to class was at one time used to call slaves into the field. So we thought that this would be a good rendering, an indication of the historic value of what that represented at Southern University. Now have an amphitheater that you will have multiple wonderful events there. Have something like this is going to be a statement for the university. It's a very good project, and it's been great working with Mr. Lawson, Huey Lawson at that. I guess I did need to differentiate. And and Mr. Ball Whitmore on this. So, and one other thing I want to say, the lighting project for the stadium is going very well, and it's we had the actual public service commissioner that mentioned that last meeting. We have another project that's very important, and I want to allow the chancellor of SUNO to talk about this. And Dr. Ammons, I can let you use my AI too to get to the slide.
Dr. Ammons, you want to bring your own AI. His AI is defective.
All right. Well, first of all, Mr. Chairman, members of the Facilities Committee, Chairman Lawson, Vice Chair Whitfield, President Shields, members of the board, honorable members of the board, I am indeed excited about this next presentation that is on the screen. Back on June 30th, just a few days ago, we were notified that we had received approval from the U.S. Department of Education to construct a nursing building on the campus of SUNO. You may recall just over a year ago, we celebrated the opening of the nursing program by welcoming our first cohort of students and with a ribbon cutting. But upon opening the nursing programs, space issues began to surface. The nursing program currently shares the second floor of the Natural Sciences building with the Health Information Management program. And we knew right then that we had to find a way to accommodate the explosive growth of this nursing program. So after buying masks, hand sanitizer, and all of the PPP, we realized, along with other HBCUs, that we had a significant amount of dollars coming from the higher education relief funds, the CARES Act, CARES Supplemental, as well as the American Rescue Plan. So we felt that if we were able to get the authority to expand the use of those dollars and respond to COVID, that there would be no better way to respond to COVID than produce more nurses. So what we have here is a rendering of that facility. On the site plan, with the green background to the right, is where the nursing building would be placed. It would be adjacent to the Natural Sciences building and the administration building on the campus. It will have 3 floors. This is the ground floor. The building will have a total of over 34,000 square feet. On the first floor, we have this huge lecture hall, along with the library for the nursing programs and study spaces. On the second floor is where most of the classes will take place. So we have classrooms, laboratories, simulation labs, etc. on the second floor. And then on the third floor is where we will have the administrative suite, our dean, the faculty, as well as other labs. Now, I want to say this was definitely a team effort. There is no way that we could have been able to do this at SUNO without a team effort. And it started at the White House and also Congress. Congressman Troy Carter, former Congressman and White House Director Cedric Richmond, carried the ball for changing the U.S. Department of Education's rule to allow SUNO, Southern University, and other HBCUs and minority serving institutions to use our HERF dollars for expenditures broader than buying PPP. And so we will be forever grateful to Congressman Carter and former Congressman and Director Richmond for taking up that mantle on behalf of HBCUs. And then, of course, this board, you approved our request to submit the proposal to the U.S. Department of Education. You did that right after we opened the nursing program, and we noticed that we were having all of these space issues. And then, Mr. Ken Dawson, I cannot say enough about Mr. Ken Dawson, his expertise and his willingness to spend time with us through every stage of this process. If you only knew all of the hurdles that we had to go through with the U.S. Department of Education to get to where we are today, you would be astonished. But with Mr. Ken Dawson, we were able to navigate through all of that. And I want to publicly thank him for his partnership and for his commitment to this system. And then, of course, there was Danny Williams, Mr. Danny Williams of Williams Architecture. We had to produce architectural drawings in order for the U.S. Department of Education to approve our request. And Mr. Williams did this within a matter of weeks, even though he was going through family issues with death in his family. He still worked with us to get this done. So our plan is to open this new facility in the fall of 2026. And this facility will allow us to move from 35 students per class to over 100 students. We're going to be relevant. And this facility is going to allow us to do that. And you can see all the faculty offices. Right now, we have 7 offices in the Natural Sciences building. This will allow us to almost double the faculty for our program. So this is yet another milestone for the nursing program. This year, we received nearly $1.5 million in private fundraising for nursing. And now here we are with a new building that will be coming out of the ground, hopefully sometime by the end of this year. Agenda of the Board of Regents. So things are moving at SUNO for nursing. And then the last thing that I'll say is that with this building, we will now open up space in the Natural Sciences building for other healthcare programs that we are now developing. Programs in cardiopulmonary science and public health. We are hoping to bring those proposals to you shortly. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chancellor, I want to commend you on your work and your leadership on this issue. I remember some time ago we had a conversation where you said, Ed, there are only so many masks I can buy. We got to figure out a way to retask some of this money that we've got. And where a lot of people may have slept on the issue of realizing they had extra funds and not spent those funds timely, you saw that there was going to be an issue, and you took leadership on that issue and made sure that we could retask those dollars and reached out to everyone and pushed very hard to make sure that those dollars were tasked. I remember those conversations and the calls that you asked to be made, and thank you for that. I think this is a much needed program. This is going to be a beautiful building to add to the New Orleans campus. Mr. Dawson.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just quickly, I want to bring your attention to a couple of things that we have coming up. We have a responsibility with our Board of Regents. And basically what we have to do, we have to actually produce the projects that's coming up at the next legislative session. I know we just got out of one, okay? And I know, but that's a cycle that continues. So I know a lot of people take a breather after the legislative session, but our work starts again. So we will be speaking with you. I talked with President Shields, and our goal is to bring some projects to you in the next board meeting, because we have to get this, August, to get you to look at it August and September, so that we will have that approved and possibly September to move on to the Board of Regents. We'll be speaking with the chancellors at the different colleges and everything about projects. And Ms. Simone Whitmore is going to come up a little later and talk about some of the processes of what happened in the last session, how it affect some projects as we move forward. Next thing is, we also had last year, as y'all remember, the Board of Regents site visit or the roadshow. And that is when they come in and they visit the campuses. So we did it at SUNO, we did it here, we did it also at Susla, and we had some people from Board of Regents there. And I understand from my contact with Board of Regents, they're trying to get even more board members from the Board of Regents to be there. So we will be discussing that with you as well, because quite honestly, it's the chancellor that leads the discussion as to what's going on the campus. We're there to help facilitate, and we will assist in whatever we need to do in preparation of those presentations. Just to let you know that also we just recently had a couple of project selection committees. Recently, we in the engineering selection committee The fourth floor of this building will be working with new HVAC because we had some challenges with that, and I'm sure I can speak to most of the chancellors. They had challenges with HVAC all over. So we're kind of dealing with that on the fourth floor. The goal is that as we start to take some of the load off of the tier water system around campus by looking at another type unit, that would assist us. Another thing is the Suno lighting project is moving forward. That was on selection as well recently, and Dr. Ammons, and the SU Law Center Annex that was selected in Architectural Selection Committee recently. We have some more things in the upcoming selection board. We are bringing the meat lab to our September board, the Suno nursing facility. You'll be coming up for the architecture selection because even though we got to this point, we still got to go through the process of bringing that to architect selection. We also have an issue with a new cooling tower here on this campus that we're trying to bring to the October engineering selection board because, again, we have a lot of buildings coming on campus, but guess what a lot of buildings on campus mean? Mean that you have more capacity that you have to provide for cooling and other things. So in order to have, I talked with Mr. Pitts about that, and he is in dire need of a new cooling tower. So our goal is to use some of our deferred maintenance dollars to get that accomplished. And also the Susla HVAC issue, Chancellor, we talked about some of that. We're looking at, there's some HERC dollars going toward that project. We got a couple of projects that we can do that below the mark that we need to take it to selection, but we also will be taking some of those that those are higher number toward that. Okay, so with that, I just want to let you know, because I know you're hearing about HVAC issues throughout the system. We are very focused on that. We're focused on trying to come up with solutions in order to make it happen, and quick solutions. But I'm sorry, with FP&C, things don't move, very quickly. It's a process. Okay, and I think I got amens on my right there, brother. So, okay, so another thing is I want to say that the disaster mega shelter, that's something we have discussed before, and we were kind of in limbo about where that was going to go. But that was a meeting that was held about a month or so ago. That project is moving forward. In fact, President Shields, I think there's going to be a groundbreaking with the governor sometime around September. Okay, on that, yes, on that project. And we are moving forward with the swine and poultry buildings. That was some deferred maintenance issues. That is going well. We got a lot of things happening, and so we'll be very proud of it. So I want to say that some of the issues you're going to have, you may get some complaints because there are going to be growing pains with all of this growth. There will be growing pains, but that's the price of progress, okay? So I'll ask Ms. Simone Whitmore to come up and give you some updates on the last session, how it affects some of our projects.
Good morning. I'm going to be very brief because nothing really changed for us between the last version of the capital outlay bill that we saw and when the governor signed the act. The only thing that has changed for us is that yesterday, State Bond Commission met and approved some lines of credit. What's important for us to know is that they did not do priority 5-to-1 cash conversion P1 amounts. So that means, for example, we have about a $14 million appropriation of P1 for the STEM building. We don't have a line of credit of $14 million right now. That does not slow our project down, so it's not a need to panic. But the problem is that the bill is over appropriated, so we have to be prepared that it will affect some of our projects. So for example, we don't have our 5-to-1 yet on our STEM building. I expect that we will get it because we can demonstrate that we'll spend it. We don't have our 5-to-1 for our renovation of our law library because again, we don't need it right now, but we can demonstrate that we will spend it. I expect that they'll give it to us. But if we were in a situation where we weren't ready to spend it, those dollars would be vulnerable. The projects that are vulnerable now are the projects that have P2 appropriations. So our new chilled water loop on our campus, that's very important to us, that has a P2. That can't move until it gets a line of credit, and P2s most likely won't be granted. There's not enough capacity. So in order to grant P2s, they would have to go back and take away some priority $1 from other existing projects. So in terms of where we are with projects, then our law library hopefully will move forward later when they do get around to granting those conversions. But our Career Learning Center for the Law Center, which had only priority 5, probably will not move this year. The other project that would be affected, again, I mentioned the Chillwater Loop. We will not be able to complete design. However, we were given some general fund dollars, so we will be able to start design. We'll be able to start assessing what's needed for that. But as far as getting into the real design of that Chillwater Loop, we probably won't get a priority 2 cash line of credit. Our new lab school, fortunately, we have general fund, so we will be able to start the design of that project. We have our nursing school. We have on campus here in Baton Rouge, we have a renovation and addition project. It is not yet had its new P5 granted yet. No need to panic. We expect that we'll get it later. They didn't grant any of those. So the big thing that happened yesterday is there's a lot of capacity added to the bill that they simply can't fund. And so they will have to do a lot more analysis in order to decide exactly where to put the dollars that are available. Our projects, I think, are positioned to proceed. We can make a case for everything that we have in the bill. For example, the nursing school, we have a donation of $10 million that we're asking the state to match. So again, I don't expect that there's any problem with that. The only thing we want to do is manage expectations that if someone says to you, we didn't get a line of credit yesterday, it's not a cause to panic yet. The projects that won't move are projects that we expected couldn't move because they weren't positioned to move. The only other thing, so let's see, university cafeteria at Suno, for example. We were able to get general fund last year. So while it looks like it's not moving because of a line of credit, it's able to move anyway because we still have cash to continue that planning. Susla Gym Complex, we held back on the design of that project because we didn't have enough priority 5. We don't have that line of credit yet. We expect that we will get it. So if you have specific questions about any of that, the message here today is don't panic because of those lines of credit. There's going to be a lot of analysis that the state has to do to determine which lines of credit to grant, but our projects are positioned to move. We can make a good case that we can use our lines of credit. And so if you have specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them in the future, offline or here this morning.
Mr. Rutledge.
Thank both of you for the outstanding presentation as usual. Mr. Dawson, I just emailed you, it's Senate Bill 132, but it's Act 395 of this year's session. It becomes effective August 1, and it allows each higher ed institution, even for state fully funded projects, to request leave to have a third party to manage them from a program management standpoint. So that's another tool in your toolbox. I know you are frustrated, as are most higher ed institutions and state and non-state, because of the bottleneck you sometimes experience dealing with FD&C. So that's another. And then we expanded it from 5 million to 10 million for those projects. I think 10 for those projects that are non-state funded. But I emailed it to you. If you don't get it, let me know.
Yes, sir.
Also, I just want to publicly, we desperately need a new lab school. And I want to publicly again thank Senator Fields and our entire legislative delegation. I see Representative Carpenter is here. I see Representative Brass is here as well. I think we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 million to $2 million in cash this year for design.
1.5.
Yeah. And so I just want to thank all of them for their work to get us at the front of the line in getting a new lab school. Thank you.
Chairman Lawson.
Thank you so much for both of you do. And I was teasing, we have some newer board members still. P1, they don't have a clue what their priority. And HERF is Higher Education Emergency Relief Funds. If I'm not mistaken, that's kind of the old COVID money. So, Brother Jerron, I want to make sure, Mr. President, board member, feel free to say, what does that mean? Because I'm still doing it. Thank you again. One of the things that's concerning to me, when we get people to invest time and money in doing conceptual renderings, right? I'm concerned, particularly when they're competent, they've done work with the state. Well, when the project's approved, they may not even get the job. Is there anything in the works? I know it's some discussion that folk who have invested the time and have a proven track record of working with the state, that they could be given points of consideration or allow the institution to have more people on the selection committee?
At this time, it's Southern University has one vote. Okay, we have one vote to whomever we recommend for that process, and I think that even Representative Brass and I have had lunch. We talked about that, about what some of the needs to maybe even change some legislation that would change that particular process. But that is the process at this particular point. We have been fortunate to get some that we have, recommended, but we don't get it all.
I'm going to wait out and say that I'd like to see that change. It's nothing that happened in the last 4 years, first of all.
Yeah.
Last 8 years. This has been a problem for several years because African American or minority contractors often suffer in that process.
Yeah.
So I think we need to have some serious discussion, legislators, and I know you all have, that we kind of level the field on that, because it's not right and it doesn't afford the opportunity. Many that have come through our schools to benefit from the time and effort they put into seeing these things come to fruition, only to see that project given to a firm that we'll never see again.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Any other comments? Thank you both. Is there any other business to come before the Facilities and Property Committee? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Dr. Tarver, seconded by Ms. Gaines. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll go directly into the Finance Committee meeting, and I'm going to ask that the Vice Chair, Board Member Gilliam, call that committee to order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee is hereby called to order. Before we go to the roll call, Mr. President, Mr. Honorable Board Member, Mr. Fondale from Lake Charles has volunteered to serve. We do not have a full contingency. Finance.
I'm the vice chair.
You're vice chair? Okay.
That's what this
See what happens when I read? I'm sorry. I jumped committees. Vice Chair, the Honorable Ann Smith.
Thank you.
I'm looking at personnel. I'm sorry. Take charge of that committee. Board Member Ann Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Finance Committee is now called to order. Roll call, Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Orlando Williams,
Absent.
Mrs. Ann Smith,
Present.
Mr. Sam Gilliam, Mrs. Christy Reeves, Attorney Des Moines Rutledge, Dr. Leon Tarver, Mr. Myron K. Lawson.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We have quorum. Adoption of the agenda, please. Motion. It has been moved and second. Public comments, we have none. Action items. Request for approval of ratification of fiscal year 2022-23 budget adjustment. And I'm going to take items 1 through 6 at this time and ask for a request for accepting. Yes.
With my vice president there.
I was going to ask for discussion after.
Okay, good. Then I move for approval of 5H.
Okay.
I'll second it.
It has been moved and second that we accept the request. At this time, I'll take questions. Any questions? No questions?
No. Oh, is this
Go
from
ahead.
the committee members? I would just like to know from Mr. McClinton whether or not there are any variances that we should be aware of and concerned about. If you'd highlight them for me.
Okay, you're referring to item A, or which one are you referring to?
In any of the budget.
1 through 6.
Okay, 1 through 6. The answer is no. Basically, item A is a ratification. We're asking for a ratification, and all that is we're required to send a budget form through based on the amount of funds that we got during the supplemental appropriation. So all we are doing now is doing a BA7 to bring those dollars in. Item B, if I can move forward. Item B is we're asking for ratification based on the fact that the spending authority, the Law Center had excess spending authority, and the Baton Rouge campus needed spending authority. And it's no money changing hand. It's just spending authority that we are requesting to be able to be transferred from the Law Center to the Baton Rouge campus. These two items have already been approved by the Division of Administration. We had a deadline that we had to submit the information to them, and it was prior to the board meeting. That's why we're asking for ratification.
What about in the interim financial report?
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, on the interim financial reports, based on the reports that we have from the campuses, all the campuses for this fiscal year has indicated, and based on our review, they will close with a balanced budget. The Baton Rouge campus, they are using $1.8 million of HERF dollars to balance their budget, and the New Orleans campus is using $3.4 million, which means that since it's one-time dollars, when they prepare their budget for the 23-24 fiscal year, those budgets will need to be adjusted in order to make certain that we begin with a balanced budget.
Are those one-time dollars being allocated for one-time purposes or for recurring purposes? Expenditures.
Well, based on the information that I have, the direction that we gave there to be used for one-time expenditures. Now, I know in the New Orleans campus, they do have some reserve funds that they can use to help offset that number. And the Baton Rouge campus will be, if they were not using them for one time, they will have to actually reduce the budget. But the budget that will be submitted to you in August will have to be a balanced budget.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. McGee, for point of clarification, Mr. DeMond, I'm referencing in the packet, page 84, 86, and 87, where we look at, and I'm not going to call the numbers out, but with the exception of the Law Center and the Agricultural Extension Research Center, everybody has some concerns there. And I think your response to Attorney DeMond a few minutes ago, for instance, SUNA was using that $3.4 million to balance their budget, but that's a one-time expenditure, right?
Right.
The budget going forward cannot be based upon that, can it?
That is correct, no.
It has to be based upon the current appropriation that's been provided for us in what's it, HB1?
Right.
That's something we need to stay attuned to, board members.
That's right.
The only other statement I would make is that if they do have reserve funds, they would have to tap those reserve funds. But reserve funds are also one time, which means that you can use it that year, but you can't use it going forward. But we'll be looking at that and talking with the CFOs about these type items.
Surely.
I recognize the chair.
One thing that I feel that means a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to this board, is that we ought to do what we should be doing best, is bring some students to the table and get them enrolled, registered, and more importantly, when they get enrolled and registered, give them the opportunity to graduate. That is the best cure we can provide, in my opinion, to correct a lot of the challenges we're having. Am I correct, Mac?
Yes, sir. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
So everything I want to see as we move into, and I talked to the chair lady, and thank you for standing in, chair lady Ann Smith, Dr. Williams, about having budget hearings, and we're going to do that. And I think they've already started on the Baton Rouge campus. They may even be completed. I want to know how we're invested, Mr. President, in doing just that, recruiting and retaining and rewarding, I call it, by affording these students to graduate. And until we start investing a little bit more in that, I think we're failing in what I think our mission should say we're about. That's my opinion from here now, and I'm going to be driving everybody to that unless the board guides me otherwise. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and thanks for the comments. Do we have additional comments? Mr. Fundell?
Thank you. Mr. McClinton, I know we've had conversations in the past. Chairman Lawson is correct in us working to retain more students. And I have from time to time stated that I think the retention of 200 students to 250 may reflect an additional $1 million. I know we've had this conversation before. And I think this is information not only this board, but also, the entire system should need to know, and how important retention is in keeping our students and making sure, because what you're saying is, because it is a one-time adjustment next year, we're not going to be able to use those funds, and either we're going to have to make some cuts, or we're going to have to find a way to increase the enrollment to a certain amount to fill those gaps. And you're saying in one case the gap is going to be what, 1 million?
Right, 1.8 for Baton Rouge.
So that would be the equivalent of us retaining an additional 200 to 300 students to fill that gap. Would that be?
That would be the best way to do it, sir.
Okay, all right. So it's upon us as a board and as a system to come up with a plan to increase our retention level. And I think there are things in place right now that we may need to enhance upon. So I just wanted to make sure it be clear to those who are here and those that are watching that the retention is going to help us to be able to fill those gaps by retaining more students. And that challenge is going to be upon us as a board to come up with that solution and pass it on. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? If not, I'll back up and go to the request for action item 5 and 6. Both have been discussed. So at this time, I'll take a motion to accept. It has been moved and second that we approve.
So
item
you're just talking about action items 5A and B?
5A and B. I'm sorry. It has been moved and approved. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Informational items, do we have any? None. Any other business? No other business. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. It has been moved and second adjournment.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. Now I want to get to Mr. Gilliam, Chair of the Personnel Committee, asking that he call his committee to order. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Personnel Affairs Committee is hereby called to order. We have, I believe, some absences here. And Mr. President, we're going to ask, I believe, Spondale or someone else to volunteer. We'd ask to the esteemed board member from Shreveport, Mr. Jaron Young, if he would volunteer to serve in this capacity. So with that stated, Mr. President, could you give us a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Mr. Sam Gilliam.
Present.
Mrs. Christy Reeves. Attorney Jody Amity. Mrs. Azelle Dudley. Dr. Leon Tarver. Dr. Orlando Williams. Mr. Myron K. Lawson.
Present.
Mr. Jaron Young. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The next item on our agenda is adoption of the agenda, and we have some changes. We have an amendment. Item number D8 should be deleted for the record, repeating. Agenda item D8 should be deleted. This is a duplicate from last month's agenda and was not intended as such. Okay. I have I'm sorry, ma'am. D8, agenda action item D8 has been deleted. Okay, I hear a motion for approval. Is that the listeners? It's been moved by Ms. Fondell and second by Mrs. Audrey, that our agenda would be thus approved. We move to agenda item number 4, public comments. And we have 4 individuals who have indicated that they would like to make public comments. I'm going to, in an effort to fairness, we're going to go in alphabetical order, if that's all right. The first person appears to be Professor Anthony Agidi, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, sir. please come forward. It's a pleasure to see you again before, sir. I believe we last spoke, and you last spoke to us, I believe, in Shreveport, I believe it was.
Again, my name is Anthony, faculty senate, vice president, SUBI.
Pleasure to have you, sir. You will have 3 minutes to speak, sir.
Yes, sir.
And indeed, for point of clarification, if indeed you could indicate which agenda item that you would.
The agenda item, the item H, SUS reorganization.
Okay, sir.
Right. Again, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to reflect the minds and feelings of about 239 full-time faculty members on campus here. We really appreciate you placing this on the agenda. We have been asking for a reorganization of the system for a while now. Why is that true? This is the only campus without a full-time chancellor. We have a full-time chancellor at Suno, Shreveport, Law Center, Art Center. This is the only campus without a full-time chancellor. As a result of the part-time chancellor we have, there are so many conflicts on campus, and it is difficult for faculty to go to a particular point because we don't know who is who. I know there's no society is conflict-free, but if we have a full-time chancellor, it will reduce the conflict we'll be having on this campus. Again, look at our campus. School is starting in 3 weeks. The registrar quit. The dean of honors college, be gone, no replacement. There are several key positions. Why is this? Because we don't have a full-time chancellor that will monitor this campus. You know, if you can do this, look, honorable board members, we are not here doing this for personal aggrandizement. With me, I may look like this, I've been teaching here for about 32 years. I'm not doing it for them to honor me, but we just want to leave this campus the way we met it. My colleagues here, they've been here like me. We are not here for anybody to compensate us. No, we just want to create opportunity for our students. Remember, when this campus used to bubble, on weekend, I used to come over here just to enjoy myself. We don't see that no more. Faculty are leaving. Staff are leaving. It is time for our honorable board members to take immediate action by giving us a chancellor, a full-time chancellor that will work with the faculty. Again, thank you so very much.
And we thank you so very much, sir, for bringing your concerns to us. The next individual who has requested to speak is Professor Thomas Miller. Would you please, Dr. Miller? And it's good to see you again. I believe you last spoke with us in New Orleans. Always a pleasure. And
That is exactly so.
It's a
And
pleasure.
great to see you again.
It's always a pleasure, sir.
Yes.
Indeed, again,
Uh,
you'll have 3 minutes to speak, sir. And if you would, for point of clarification, would you indicate the agenda item that you wish to speak to?
Yes. Speaking to agenda item H, the system reorganization plan. Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, President Shields, members of the board, it's a pleasure always to be here with you. I'm going to be very brief, and that is to say that when the reorganization that brought the positions of president and chancellor together some 10 years or so ago, the faculty senate expressed at that time its grave concerns. We felt as though this was going to be an awkward model, which, in a phrase, puts the responsibility, gives the chancellor of the campus all the responsibility, but none of the authority. And that has proved to be, in our opinion, an ineffective model. And so, without further ado, I'd simply say that speaking with members of the faculty, certainly members of the faculty senate, it is the unanimous opinion that this is going to be a very positive change for our campus, separating the roles of President and Chancellor. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Miller, indeed. The next individual who has requested to speak is Dr. Jill Murray. Is Dr. Murray? Okay, good. Dr. Murray, good morning to you. It's a
Good
pleasure to have you
morning.
with us.
Thank you for having me here and allowing me to speak. I'm speaking to Agenda Item 5E, the approval of personnel action on positions of over 60,000 at SUNO. And I am the Vice President of the SUNO Faculty Senate, and I'm representing Faculty Senate today. We're asking that the board delay its vote on SUNO new faculty hires. The Faculty Senate has concerns about categories of appointment, rank of appointment, and the awarding of tenure without a probation period. These concerns are based on the SUNO Faculty Handbook policy, which references system policy. Specifically, those are 4.3.1, categories of faculty appointment. Faculty members appointed at the rank of instructor are designated as temporary appointees to meet a short-term need. 4.72, members at the rank of instructor shall be on an annual appointment and are not eligible for tenure. 4.73, procedures for recommending tenure. The board may, under extraordinary circumstances and upon proper recommendations, waive the probationary period. 4.8, recommending promotion. Under exceptional circumstances, with proper recommendation from all levels, waive the probationary period for promotion. Among other implications, violation of these policies has implications for SACs and for other accrediting bodies such as the Council for Social Work Education, which I'm most familiar with. We're requesting transparency in the hiring process and in the awarding of tenure, and we ask that exceptions be made truly as exceptions and not as the norm. We ask that the board delay the vote on new hires until the next board meeting and create an investigatory panel to review the policies and ensure decisions about new employees and that they comply with university and system policy prior to final board approval. Thank you.
Thank you so very
Thank
much
you.
for your input, Dr. Murray. Indeed. The next individual who has requested to speak is Dr. Albert L. Samuels. Please come forward. And again, Dr. Samuels, you know the procedure. We'll give you 3 minutes, sir, and if you would, point of clarification, if you would tell us which item or items you would care to reference for our clarification.
Good morning, Mr. Chair,
Sir.
to the Mr. President and Secretary of the Board. I will be rising in reference to item H, which refers to a proposal for a system reorganization. We stood at this platform about 8 or 9 years ago to argue that the proposal to consolidate the positions of President and Chancellor was a bad idea. The board in its wisdom decided to go ahead with that anyway. Our experience has proven that that is simply not a good model for the Baton Rouge campus. We have a number of challenges specific to the Baton Rouge campus that simply require having someone who is full-time. The structure of our system requires the president chancellor to be both the system head and also be divided among the various campuses. That is, as we predicted, that's going to create a lot of problems. We just had a discussion just a few minutes ago about enrollment challenges, for example, on the Baton Rouge campus. That's that exists because we have a number of systems on this campus that simply don't work. And so you need someone who people have to respond to. And the president chancellor is divided in so many different ways. And so I urge you to take this opportunity to right this ship. I want to conclude by saying this is not in any way this is not a personal thing at the current president. Actually, I think this will make the life of the President Shields a lot easier, because this will free him up to raise funds, to coordinate legislative strategy, and otherwise build goodwill for the system, while we have a leader on the Baton Rouge campus, who can make the trains run on time. I think that's what we need to do.
Thanks so very much for your input, Dr. Samuels, indeed. We have a number of personnel items before us, but it would appear expedient that I believe G and H, since we have heard so much concern, especially about H, that we would address those two separately. But what would be your pleasure, committee, for doing a global on action items A, 5A through F, I believe? What is your pleasure? Through F. Please. I have two questions. Mrs. Smith, I believe I heard you.
Again, I have a question as to the hiring of the faculty, not the administrative part, but the faculty. Can somebody give me some clearance on it, please?
Who would be able to address that? Would that be, which campus are we talking about?
Well, the SUNO campus.
SUNO, okay, then we're referencing Chancellor Emeritus, if you would, please.
Well, first of all, let me say this. I agree with Dr. Murray that there is a process for faculty being granted tenure. There is an error in the PAFs where these two faculty members are listed as tenured faculty. They are instructors for the nursing program, and there would be a process. And so what I would ask the board to do would not delay the hiring of the faculty as instructors. That's what we are requesting. The error is in I just noticed it, is in the PAF where it says tenured faculty. They would not be tenured upon appointment.
Specifically, which under E, I assume you under
Mrs. Trinice Monday.
Don't call the name, if you would, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just give me the number. 5 and 6.
What is it? 5
and 6. So your recommendation then, Mr. Chair.
Right.
Mr.
Yes,
Chancellor
she would be an instructor.
Okay. Instructor.
Not a tenured professor.
Okay. Instructor. Does that, let's see if that answers.
Salary adjustment.
No,
Change.
the salary is correct.
It's going to be the same?
Yes.
That's for 5 and 6?
Yes, for 5 and 6.
What
No,
about,
he's tenured. He went through the process.
and there was another question.
Mrs. Smith, does that?
So it's 5 and 6. The titles should be instructor.
Okay.
Does it address your concern, Mrs.?
It does.
Okay. I believe, Ms. Dudley, you had a concern or question?
Right.
I just wanted to inquire with either legal or regarding the policy consistency with the policy as raised by the public comment.
Okay.
For basically all of the new appointments, the waives, the tenure. My question is about our consistency with system and university policy. I just want confirmation on that and respect to the question that was raised from someone.
I think they're requesting clarification, but go ahead, counsel.
On the item that has them being tenured in the comments that were made. Generally, most folks are hired in an instructor and or on a tenure track unless they're coming with experience. Then there would be a waiver of the tenure process. Are you asking about how they were evaluated to be offered these positions? I guess is what I'm trying to understand.
The request from the public comment was about delaying it and asking us to review the process to make sure we are compliant with university and system policy. And I'm simply asking about where we stand on that.
On the delay?
No, not the delay, compliance.
On compliance?
I think I hear the basic question being, are we in compliance? And I'm sorry?
One at a time. Go ahead, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you.
I understand
I was listening to counsel. The question as I appear being raised by Ms. Dudley
Is about compliance, whether or not these
are we in
folks
compliance? For your opinion.
I would think based upon the clarification from Chancellor Ammons regarding the fact that it was that number 5 is tenure track instructor, I think would indicate that is in compliance. Especially given number 2, he indicated it had gone through the tenure process. And I think that one is more so just going into his faculty role.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dudley. I believe I heard some other questions. Ms. Gaines.
Yes, thank you. My question is, removing tenure from E5 and E6, does this address everything Dr. Murray said in her question? Does this resolve everything that Dr. Murray said by removing the tenure from E5 and E6 to instructor?
I think it does.
Okay.
I think it does.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any other question? Okay, again, we have before, we're opposing. If indeed, if your pleasure is action 5A through F, and chair will entertain a motion to that extent. Please, sir.
What we're looking to propose the motion, we're going to be taking those 2 words, the tenure, out of that. Okay, so as a part of that motion, we're going to correct it at this point in
And
time.
you can make that part of your motion, I believe.
Okay.
That item, what was that, 5, would be changed to, instead of tenure professor in the instance of number 5 and tenure track instructor, well, I guess we can just say instructor.
Yeah, and if we did it, my continued point of information, if we continue to do that, we can put it in global with the
That's what
exception of
I'm
those
saying.
2. Okay.
That's
Well,
what
I'd like to make a motion to put D and E in global with 5 and 6, the exception of tenure being taken off to address the concerns. I'd like to make a motion.
Okay. The motion has been moved by Mr. Fondell and second by Ms. Dudley, that we would consider action items 5A through F approved. Those in favor, please let it be known by the sign of aye. Opposers, no. Hearing none, these items are,
I have a point of order. I see a little unreadiness by the council back there.
I just didn't know if, I think Board Member Fondell indicated D and E.
Yeah.
And then when it was called back, Mr. Gillum included A through E. So I just wanted to make sure.
In my motion, if we can include A,
you meant global, right?
yeah, A through E, A through E, with the exception of 5 and 6, correcting tenure on there so that we can advance it. All right.
All right. Then, it has been moved and seconded. Is that the one we had?
Yes.
Good. Those in favor then, let it be known by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. This motion is approved. That means that we still have to deal with item number F, which is a request of leave of absence for Professor Tracy Reed at Sutler. For that, if you would, Chancellor from Shreveport, if you would give us clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Ms. Tracy Reed is requesting sabbatical. She's one of our chemistry professors. She's requesting 12 months. She have met the requirements for sabbatical, and we're requesting that she be paid 75% of her salary while she's on sabbatical.
Yes, sir.
You said 12 months, but we only hire persons like on a 9-month basis. So what is what's the difference between the 9 and the 12? You said it's 12 months.
She's requesting to be out for 12 months. And she is hired on a 9-month basis, but she's requested to be out for 12 months, for a year, for sabbatical purposes.
So the 75% is on the 9
For the
months.
9 months, yes.
All right. Does that answer your concern, Dr. Tarver? It does. Councilor Short.
Councilors, I thought we had taken the necessity for board approval on stuff like this away.
So previously, we removed the need for board approval for FMLA leave, but not for sabbatical leave.
Okay.
But if the board would like that, we can include that in a new revision.
We'll
But
talk
as
about it.
Okay, but as it stands, the current rule is that indeed it should come to, oh, I see another one of your accounts behind you giving me an amen back there too. Okay. All right, we have before us then this request from Chancellor for leave of absence for Tracy, Dr. Tracy Reed or Professor Tracy Reed. What is your pleasure?
Motion.
It's been moved by Mr. Fondale, second by Mr. Tudley, that this request to grant leave to Professor Tracy Reed would be approved. Those in favor, please let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Thus, the ayes have it. We move to item number G, and I believe, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
this is big time.
yes, it
Our dear
is.
friend, this is a request approval of the recommendation of Chancellor Emeritus Dr. Leotri Williams at the Southern University Agricultural Research and Extension Center. I see him sitting in the office, in the audience out there. But, Mr. Chairman, let me defer to you. This is a mutual friend of all of ours, has made a humongous contribution to the university in general, and of course to the Agricultural Extension and Research Center in particular. Been moved by somebody over there, by Dr. Tarver, and second by Ms. Dudley, that we would indeed approve the nomenclature of Chancellor Emeritus for Dr. Leotri Williams, and it is such a pleasure to see you out there. Those in favor, please let us
Discussion.
know.
And you're right. It's like in the Baptist church, when you get the Holy Ghost, you just can't keep it to yourself.
Did we carry them over?
This will make a Catholic speaking tongues right here. So great. I am very excited about this moment. I mean, this is just, I'm embarrassed that it's taken this long to recognize him. It was an oversight, I can assure you, because he's so deserving of this. This guy, as he approached the podium, well, we're going to ask Chancellor Dr. McMeans approach it first. This is probably one of the most unselfish gentlemen with a spirit of humbleness that you've never seen until you meet Dr. Leotri Williams. He's an emotional guy. He will teach you how to cry, and his love for Southern is just off the chart. He's been a mentor of mine, and I'm not an agriculture major. I wear a pin on my lapel. He told me, if you're going to get on this board, and if you love the alumni, Myron, get this pin. Not many people have it, and I have my pin on, and I wear it regularly because I'm a diehard alumnus of this university. And Dr. McMeans, will you bring this guy with this enormous statue that will never be missed at Southern University, whether it's in our presence or not, and tell us why he is so worthy of this accomplishment that we're about to bestow upon him.
Thanks,
Designation.
Board member, President Shields, colleagues, and the Southern University family. I'm kind of emotional. The reason why this came to me was that someone recognized Dr. Leotri Williams as emeritus, and so immediately I put my people on researching it, and although it was talked about, it never came to fruition. And I would just like to say, as a point of personal privilege, on day one of my job 26 years ago, when I became an administrator at West Virginia State University, I had an opportunity to talk to this man because I was nervous. I stepped straight out of the laboratory, Birkenstock, lab coat, you name it. And Dr. Leodry Williams is an icon. He is a pioneer. One of the things that people do not know, but besides starting his career in 1965, was he was second in charge of the individuals that fund all 106, 107 land-grant institutions at USDA. He was over cooperative extension for 50 states and the U.S. territories. He is an icon, second to none. Good Sigma man, too. I have to throw that out there.
Well, you leave that alone.
I wanted to wait for you to vote for that first, you know. Too many of y'all other guys up there. So, but he is a mentor, a leader, the first chancellor of the Southern University Ag Center, and he led for 14 years with distinction and honor. I consider him a friend, a colleague, a mentor, and if it were not for Dr. Williams, I wouldn't be standing here before you. But I also want to say this, and not to steal Dr. Williams' thunder, because he probably will mention it. But I had a chance yesterday to go back and see the 20th year anniversary interview of Dr. Tarver and Dr. Williams. I will send that to the board. It is amazing. And talk about how the Southern University Ag Center was established and how we are the only historically Black land-grant institution to elevate the tripartite mission to the level of chancellor. No other institution can say that. So with all that said, I would like to bring forward to you Chancellor Emeritus, Dr. Leodry Williams.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President, thank you for this honor. In the building next door, I think it's still called the Women's Gym. My first time on this campus was for a contest, that building. I was a ninth grader coming to participate in statewide parliamentary procedure quiz contest. Robert's Rules of Order. In studying this, I thought everything should be run by Robert's Rules of Order. So with this information and new knowledge, I carried it back to my rural Baptist church and tried to train the deacons on how meetings should be run. In fact, I got condensed versions of Robert's Rules of Order and held meetings at our home to train them for those who could read. At another meeting of the church, I didn't think things were going just right. So I said to them, I rise to a point of order. And one of those deacons said, boy, what are you talking about? But that was my first trip to Southern. I came back many other occasions and then to graduate. We had faculty members who challenged you and were concerned about your total development. People like Mr. Edward Brantley, who was a dairy scientist, but he would tell you, you can talk about old Bossy like she's a cow, and you can say anything you want to say about her. But when you write about her, you better use proper grammar, or you won't hear the last of it. And there were many faculty members who influenced what I became. I was hired the last person in America with the title of Assistant County Agent for work with Negroes. The passage of the Civil Rights Act changed that. I kept that title for 6 weeks. No other person had that title after. But that was the lowest position that one could hold in the Extension Service. Later on, I was hired by Extension. And with this title, starting with this title, I was able to move on to the administrator of Extension at the national level. I was prepared to do, or I probably didn't know any better, but I was prepared to take on anything that came because I had been prepared at Southern. And when I received my alumni card on graduation, all of the graduates were inducted into the alumni. I thought that was my passport to heaven. I could do anything. I've had many opportunities to do things. I've had the opportunity to substitute for the Secretary of Agriculture, a cabinet position. I've been an educational consultant, East Africa, West Africa, various countries, to help give some structure to the educational system of Ethiopia after the passing of Haile Selassie, and things that I never dreamed of doing. But when the opportunity came, I accepted the challenge. I'm glad I did. And one of the competitive meetings among HBCUs, we were having so much success in grant writing and getting additional funds for Southern, heading up educational organizations. Some of the people started complaining, saying that the only problem I have with the people from Southern is they think they should win everything. And my response was, hallelujah. Again, thank you for this. My family is here with me, all except one son-in-law, but all of our kids are. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I didn't know you. But all of them are here. 2 months ago, I lost my wife, who was also a Jaguar, 2 degrees from Southern, also taught part-time at Southern University. But thank you for this honor. I'll remember it forever. Thank you.
Chair. If you will, Dr. Audrey, after Dr. Williams speaks, we're going to ask that the entire family, we're going to deny the opportunity to take a picture with them and with you. Come forward. I just didn't want you to scatter too far. Thank you, Dr. Williams.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. President, members of the board, and all others who are assembled. It is indeed a beautiful morning here on the Bluff. Of course, we are in the presence of agricultural excellence, if you will. It was just stated that there are so many giants in this room, from Dr. Bendelli, who is in the room. Would you stand, Dr. Bendelli? Dr. Adele Brown, Miss Julia, so many people that were instrumental in starting the Ag Center. But of course, it all starts with one person, and that person is being honored today, and it's none other than our very own Dr. Leaudrey Williams. And it's so interesting because life really does come full circle, because he hired me 20 years ago. And now I stand here as a vice chancellor at the Ag Center. And it's just to say that Dr. Williams has not only touched my life, but he's transformed the lives of so many people around this country. You have poured into people so selfishly. He's a trailblazer. And I'm excited to announce that on behalf of Dr. McMeans, that Dr. Williams will be the first African-American inducted into the Louisiana Agricultural Hall of Fame this spring. That deserves a round of applause. And so, as you can tell, Dr. Williams always had the best jokes. He played a mean hand of blackjack, lots of life stories, and he loved his family. He was a Christian, is a Christian, and he loves Southern University. Loves Southern University. So today, Dr. Williams, we honor you and the trailblazer that you are. And we have this token of appreciation, which states, let's see which way I want to turn. All right. Southern University Agricultural Research and Extension Center and the College of Agricultural, Family, and Consumer Sciences, in recognition of meritorious service to the land grant program at Southern University, and recommendation of the Chancellor Dean of the Ag Center and the College of Agricultural, Family, and Consumer Sciences, hereby designate Dr. Leaudrey Williams, Chancellor Emeritus, effective on the 21st day of July 2023. And for the many seeds that you have sown, we, the Land Grant Campus, dedicate one fruit-bearing pecan tree at Southern University Pecans Orchard in your name. And so we have this to commemorate that. We love you, Doc. All right, so we're going to need you want to say something? You ready to go take pictures?
Whatever.
All right, let's go. The family as well. Would you please join us? Oh, sure. Don't take
It's gonna be difficult already.
We've lost some people.
As soon as these cell phone people get out the way. Yeah, I can get them. Can everybody kind of scoot that way a little more? I can see everybody. Yeah, I can see what they uneven. And see how that side is on.
We need you to come to this side. Mr. Fondale, come over this side.
Fondale. Okay, hold that on three. 1, 2, 3. Stay there. Again, look here, nice smile, no blinking. And one more time.
Now, can we get just the family? Thank you. Chancellor McMeans, stay in. Dr. McMeans. Dr. McMeans, stay in the picture.
Hey, thank you. Please. Real quick. Okay. All right. Okay. Get your name.
Okay, Dr. Williams, we're going to do one more with the College of Ag and the Ag Center family. So the College of Ag and Ag Center family, if you'll join us. And those who are retired from the Ag Center, please, by all means. Is that everybody? It's Snowden. Floor, go to the back. Is that everybody going once, twice, 3 times?
next gen.
Yeah, this is still the personal affairs. So we're back in session, if you will. We are honored again and just privileged. It's not often.
If you
Can I
will.
have your attention, please?
If you will.
It's not often that you have the measure of a man like Leodre Williams in your presence. It's such a pleasure. For those of you younger members of either this board or in the audience, you have just experienced quite an event. And some of us oldsters who were kind of slow in moving, we were having a moment. It got emotional for us too, I think. Did it not, Dr. Tarver? Because we go back.
Because I had the honor of recommending him to be chancellor when we created this fourth campus. And in creating the fourth campus, it helped save the university, because during that time, there were bills in the legislature 3 or 4 years in a row to dismantle Southern University by taking, we only had 3 campuses. If you took one of those campuses away, it would dissolve the system. And so we discovered that the Ag Center and the Law Center were left out of the consent decree. So here was a wonderful opportunity to activate it. We did, and in fact, established the campus. And of course, who else in the world but Dr. Leodre Williams? And of course, in the Law Center, we took the law school out of the Baton Rouge campus and also made it a separate campus. That's why we have a 5-campus system today. But thanks to agriculture and to Law Center, Mr. Pierre, we still have a robust Southern University system today, and I hope it continues.
Thank you, Dr. Tarver. We are indeed indebted to Dr. Leodre Williams for so much. I remember, thanks to the generosity of you, Dr. Tarver, we, the 3 of us, a group, Dr. Tarver and Dr. Williams was part of that group. We did 2 weeks, I believe, in South Africa, Mozambique, and just had a marvelous experience at the time. So again, thank you for the contribution, Dr. Williams. We're ready. We'll go on with the next agenda, Mr. Chairman. Okay. The next item on here is item number H. This is a request approval of Southern University System Reorganization Plan. But before even considering, do I defer to the
Yield to the president.
to President, please?
Yes. Thank you, Chairman Lawson, Vice Chairman Ronnie Whitfield, distinguished board, chancellors, faculty, Senate members. I appreciate this opportunity. And while it is always a dangerous thing to give a lawyer a captive audience, I will try not to prattle on too long. But there are a couple of things I'd like to say before I make this suggestion for a change. I've had the privilege of being in higher education as an administrator for 42 years. And though it may not be obvious, I think I am educable. A couple of things I learned from people that I watched that served in leadership roles was that don't take things personally and don't hold grudges. It's extraordinarily important when you sit in a role like I do, because if you're not humble enough to sort of take that and move on and understand that people have very real investments and concerns, you can think it's all about you. That's the first thing I say. The second thing I'd say is there are 3 things in the last 10 days that have happened that remind me of why I do this work. And the first, I think, was a week ago Thursday when I went to see the young people in the Jaguar Success Academy. And those bright young faces, aspiring, who ask me such thoughtful questions, reminds me of why we do this work. And then at the other end of the spectrum, we have like Dr. Williams and Colonel Davis, both of whom I got to observe this week. The quiet humility and dignity and the remarkable things that they've accomplished as Southern graduates also reminds us about the work that we do. And it may not be obvious to you how seriously I take that. Now, let me say another thing, make another observation, because sometimes we think we're on opposite sides of the fence, faculty, administration, board members. Professor Jill Murray performed a valuable service to the Southern University system and SUNO by pointing out a mistake in the board agenda. And that's a valuable contribution. And as president, I appreciate the willingness to stand up and have the courage to speak her mind. Similarly, the members of the Faculty Senate from the Baton Rouge campus are appreciated for the passion and interest they have in the university and making it as strong a place as possible. Now I'm going to announce something that I would like to see happen. But I would be remiss if I didn't sort of remind people, it's very easy in the heat of the moment to think about only where things are currently. But I'd like to make sure that we recognize Chancellor Ammon's efforts over the time he's been here. And that he is, my understanding, he's agreed to sort of step aside from the executive vice president role. But I want to remind you that he first went to Southern University, New Orleans. It was on a very short track to lose its accreditation. And while I don't think he's the only one that had something to do, he led that effort that brought that school back from the brink. And just today, we heard about, through his efforts and a lot of others, to bring a nursing building to the SUNO campus. We need to remember, as I'm reminded often, that sometimes you get upset with someone about something in particular on a given moment, or you want to move in a certain direction, but it's important to remember all of the contributions someone has made. When I arrived here a year ago, I had a lot to learn about the current status of the university, and I saw these titles and those kinds of things. I want to acknowledge that one of the things I've learned over the course of this year is that we do need day-to-day oversight of what's happening on the Southern University Baton Rouge campus. Quite frankly, as assistant president, it's very difficult to give the day-to-day attention to the broad range of activities on the campus that need attention. We can debate whether that title needs to be chancellor or something else, but I acknowledge the need for that. So, having said that, Chancellor Ammons has agreed to step down as the executive vice president role. And another chancellor here in Baton Rouge, Chancellor John Pierre, has agreed to step forward and fill the role on an interim basis as executive vice president, which would be the chief academic officer on this campus and would be responsible for the day-to-day oversight of the Baton Rouge campus. I would also ask the permission of the board to launch a nationwide search after discussion of just what that role and how it ought to be described, be launched this fall to make a permanent appointment to that role. With that, I'll yield the floor and take questions if you're so inclined.
If you will,
Mr.
Mr. Chair, why don't we go ahead and entertain a motion to receive and authorize the president to have a search on that position and get it passed, and then we'll have discussion if that's okay with you.
Indeed, Mr. Chairman. As I appreciate it, the motion would be then to authorize the president to do a search. Or we would authorize a search for the position of a permanent chancellor
And
for
receive Chancellor
Southern
Pierre.
University, Baton Rouge. Is that
Can you,
I believe we have some questions. Dr. Charles,
I'm just trying to, I want to make sure I understood.
We're not hearing that great over here.
Yeah.
Sam Williams, Gilliam.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the motion.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I thought that was a very profound presentation, a very great statement that you've just made. And I think it lays a great foundation for where we need to be able to go in the future. I want to compliment you on that. In keeping with your suggestion and recommendation, the only thing I thought that needed some definition, and you had suggested it, is we need to define, and perhaps not at this moment, what the other position want to be. So I thought that the motion should encompass two things.
Mm-hmm.
One was to accept your recommendation about putting Chancellor Pierre in that interim role. The second part of your recommendation was to you, I guess, to come back to the board with a definitive title, a decision about whether it's the executive vice president or it's going to be chancellor. Or am I going too far with that?
Well, I think it's going to take a discussion because I think there's obviously board members that have opinions and views about what the appropriate title is, and the governance groups that have opinions about what that title ought to be. And we ought to have those discussions and arrive at an agreement moving forward on exactly how it ought to be captioned. That's my...
Yeah. So that's why I suggested that you could come back to the board in August, Mr. Chair, with that recommendation to adopt, to start the search piece once we've had the discussion about that. So that was a motion that I wanted to offer.
Okay. Well, may I interject? It appears as though there is some ambiguity in terms of, before we talk about authorizing a search, that we would first clarify the positions that indeed we are searching.
Let me clear.
Okay.
Wisdom tells me we maybe need to call it a position, and we can cite what the position is in August. I'm going to defer it to council, but I think if we call it a position, I want to get in the mindset we're not playing with this. We're serious. And I don't want anything to impede him going out and saying we're searching for this position. That position is going to be communicated to us, but I don't want to call it anything right now, but go ahead to at least start the position. We're not advertising. We need to start the mechanism. So when he comes back next month, that we authorize him to actually do the search. Council.
That's correct. You do have a vacancy in your position of EVP right now. So you can begin the formation of your search process, and by next month, if it is determined that you're searching for a specific role of chancellor, specific role of EVP, or two people, that can be authorized at next month's meeting. But the process for searching to fill the vacancy can commence today, or commence once y'all authorize it.
Explain to me,
Mrs.
please.
Gaines. Mrs. Gaines, I believe you had a question.
It's over here.
Oh.
Mrs. Gaines, I believe you had a question.
Oh, yes, I do. Are we authorizing a search for a position with no name? Am I understanding that correctly?
That's why I'm calling timeout.
That's what my question.
Let me be clear.
Right.
We're authorizing him to begin the discussion of the search. He's not going to go out here and do a search. He's going to come back next month with what the position title is, and he's going to bring that to us. Then we're going to recommend, hypothetically, a search for a chancellor next month. Not this month, not right now, but we're telling him to begin the process of discussing how he's going to come back with the search. He needs to appoint a committee, for instance. I don't want him to come back next month and say, okay, I'm going to form a committee. I want that to be formed and everything in place for next month. Whatever the title of the position is, this committee will be formed, and he's going to be issuing a notice of an open position. That's my right. Is that clear? Yeah. We're not naming the position, but next month he will.
For the
Mr. Fondell.
Yeah, for the motion, the immediate emotion
based on the information that the president has given us, is to have the EVP, Executive Vice President, filled by Chancellor Pierre. I'd like to make a motion for that, and we can, and if possible, we could separate the second motion with regards to the search. If we,
Why do we
And
want the first one?
I'll
first?
withdraw my motion in favor of Mr. Fontain's
Okay,
motion.
and then we'll do
and
a
let's move
separate
on
vote.
that one. Okay.
Right.
And repeating again for clarification.
Okay, I'd like to make the motion, all right, based on the president's recommendation to have Chancellor Pierre to serve as the EVP for the SUBR campus here. That one motion, if I can get a second.
And that's on an interim
For the
basis.
system, though, I
For
want
the
to be clear.
system. Correct my words, thank you.
That's on an interim basis.
On an interim, correction, on an interim basis.
Okay, it has been moved.
Sam.
It has been. It has
Board
been
Member
moved.
Smith has a question.
I'm sorry.
To that point? Clarification.
Thank you. It is my opinion that at this point, we should focus on the Baton Rouge campus and the leadership so that our students and our campus will feel a belonging of ahead so that we can move forward with our fall registration, so that we can move forward letting our students know that we care, our faculty care, just so that they will know that they have a head. So at this point, I think that this is small comparing to what we should be focused on, and that is our Baton Rouge campus, Southern University, and our students. Thank you.
Okay. Then, as I understand it, maybe clarification here, because as your motion, as I appeared, you rendered it was to appoint Chancellor Pierre as the interim VP for the system. But is that the intent of your motion? Because I hear Mrs. Smith saying the immediacy of our situation is to have an interim chancellor for SUBR.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Okay.
And that's what Chancellor Pierre will be,
That's what he
the
said.
interim chancellor.
Okay. Then may I restate the motion then, Mr. Fondale, or you would
Interim
withdraw?
executive vice president, he would have the authority to run the Baton Rouge campus. Let's say that. He's the chief academic officer.
We can do it like
And he
that.
will be handling the day-to-day activity, correct me if I'm wrong, of the Baton Rouge campus.
All right, then let me carry Mr. Fondale's motion then. He says that his motion is that Chancellor Pierre would be appointed as the interim vice chancellor for executive affairs for the system, but with the understanding he would have immediate responsibility for SUBR. Okay, those in favor? Motion first. I've got a motion. I have a second. Those in favor, please let me know by saying about sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Hearing none, this motion is thus carried. Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you, and congratulations, Chancellor Pierre. Okay. Mr. Bondale.
I know that this motion has passed. I'd like to say, compliment the president on his actions today, with the understanding that we are growing this campus. If you know, HBCU enrollment around and all HBCUs have grown. And it was 15 years ago under the leadership of Dr. Tarver that we made that change. At the time, the times were somewhat different. We were under some financial strains and the future was uncertain. But over the last 7 to 8 years, our institution has continued to grow. The leadership has continued to grow at this university. And as such, we've gotten to a point now to where, we are addressing something that needs to be addressed. And so I commend my colleagues that sit on this committee and those of you that are on this board, again, with this president, President Shields and his action and his recommendation for us moving forward. So I do say that in support.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fondale.
As well.
Comment, Mrs. Gaines?
Yes. I appreciate the move we made right here, and I certainly believe that we are in capable hands here. But my thought is, in bringing all of this, why isn't there more clarity about where we're moving forward and what we're trying to establish here? The concern has been that we need attention to the Baton Rouge campus. That is our goal. Our collective agreement, it seems, that the president needs to be president and we need a chancellor for Baton Rouge. And that's where I thought we were headed. And the prelude to all of this could have been stated as such, if that's where we're headed. If we're not headed that way, then let's see where we are headed. Now, I came on board because I was new to the idea of a president chancellor. And my understanding, and it took a minute to understand that the president, then you had the vice president, executive vice president, and then you had the chancellors that were the same. So here we are appointing Chancellor Spites to executive vice president, but with chancellor duties. Am I understanding that correctly? Chairman, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman?
And look, there's no daylight between the way you feel and I feel. But what we have to work through, there are contractual obligations. He is the chancellor right now by contract. We got to have some discussions about how we work that out. We also have to take in consideration SAC's COC and how it's done. And I'd rather err on the side of cautiousness, with him understanding that he's coming back to us with everything he needs to do a search, and I'll be as candid as I could be. I think it should be chancellor. Now, we're going to decide that next month and make sure we don't have any conflict with SACS, COC. Make sure we have understanding with his contract. We're going to have to do some amendments. We're not going to be able to do that right now. And I just want to make sure when we do it, it's done concisely and also in communication with the faculty senate. So they're not surprised what we're doing. And I want it in its final form, as you suggested, at the next meeting. We couldn't do it right now because there's a whole lot of talk been going on to get to this point, but I agree with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have other comment?
Just one comment. Kind of echo some of the things that's been stated. As a relatively new board member and seeing the process work and the structure throughout the system, Dr. Shields, it's been a pleasure to meet and know you, but more so today, I want to let you know personally how I appreciate your articulation of your comments today, your observation and your posturing. It's an example that should be, just sent out throughout the system and each respective campus as well. So I think our move today is a reflection to the faculty and staff that we hear you, and we are concerned mostly about the students and the campus here at SUBR, but it is also a model of the urgency to move at the respective campuses, SUNO, SUSLA, etc., all throughout. So I'm just glad to be a part of this team to work through some very difficult challenges together. And I just wanted to give some comments of support for your comments today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dudley. Any other comments regarding this issue? If not, we'll move on to agenda item number 6. Informational item. Here is a discussion on filling key
Did we carry the motion? I think we did. I think we did.
Yeah, it should pass. We're dealing with a discussion on filling key vacancies on each campus. And I assume, Mr. President, that falls to you.
Well, I would defer to the chancellors of the individual campuses. What I will tell you, and I have a memo to the board about some of these positions. We will have to address the departure in the provost office of an AVC. We do have an honors college position, which we will be identifying an interim leader and within the week, and then be doing a search to fill that position. And we have other positions that are critical, but not at that level down through the organization. And we're going to grind away and fill those positions.
That may suffice. Is there need of further clarification on item 6A? If not, let's go on to number 7, other business. Is there other business to be brought before the committee? Yes.
Of the authorization to begin the search was never done. Was that purposeful?
Begin the formation. It's not the search. It's just the formation of the search. So I really don't think it needs a motion. It's the intent of the board for him to come back with us. We're searching for a chancellor, hypothetically, and we're going to charge him with the committee that he would have suggested be formed to us at that time. It's just the will of the board. I don't know if you need a motion. I think he fills the post.
No, you
in
don't.
intent, but if you want to do it, I'm saying no.
Well, it would appear the actual authorization would come, what, next month?
That's correct.
When you actually initiate the search. Am I right, Council?
Yes, that's
All right.
correct.
Way to go.
That works.
All right. That works for everybody. That's good. Let's see if this works. Item number 7, other business.
Motion.
Number 8, I got that for you. Adjournment. Motion? I've been moved by Ms. Fontaine and second by Mr. Dudley that we would consider ourselves adjourned. We appreciate your tolerance. The Personnel Affairs Committee is thus adjourned, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We appreciate that, Mr. Gillett. You handled it well. It's now time to call the Southern University Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Roll call, Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Myron K. Lawson, Chair. Dr. Ronnie Whitfield, Vice Chair. Attorney Jody Amedy. Ms. Zazelle Dudley. Mr. Raymond Fondale Jr.
Here.
Mrs. Maple Gaines. Mr. Sam Gilliam.
Here.
Mr. Paul Matthews. Mrs. Christy Reeves. Attorney Des Moines Rutledge. Attorney Edwin Shorty. Mrs. Ann A. Smith.
Present.
Dr. Leon R. Tarver II. Reverend Dr. Samuel Tolbert. Dr. Orlando Williams. Mr. Jairon Young. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 3 is adoption of the agenda. Are there any modifications to the agenda as printed? I have a motion by Board Member Whitfield.
Second.
Properly second. Discussion. Hear none. All in favor, aye. Motion carries. Item number 4, public comments. Are there any public comments relative to the agenda as approved? Seeing no one approach the podium, no cards received. Item number 5 are action items. A, approval of the minutes. B, approval of the committee recommendations. C, request approval for ratification or authorizations of the Southern University Law Center. Request for approval of cooperative endeavor agreement. What's your pleasure?
Actions 5A, B, C, and D. Second.
Approval in global oil has been moved by Dr. Tarver, properly seconded by Board Member Shorty. Discussion.
Yes,
sir.
Especially in approval of committee recommendations. In looking at the packet and looking at the governance committee from last month, we changed, I believe, the recommendation on search processes. It went from an action item to an informational item. The question I guess I'm asking is, are we going to follow up on that? Because if you looked at, say, the Personnel Action Committee this time around, we have just a multitude of wave searches. Is that going to be our policy going forward or whatever have you? Or, Mr. Chairman, do you think we need to really look at that?
Yeah. What we're doing, and I was expecting it this month, we're going to have a policy. We've had that discussion. It's going to be ironclad, and the intent is to adopt it at the next meeting.
Sounds good.
So the board will have it. If you have any input on it, I'd like to get it between now and maybe a couple of weeks before the board. Board Member Smith.
Thank you. Request approval of the cooperative endeavor agreement with Southern University and College and the Foundation. Will you give me just a highlight on that? I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't see Mr. Harrell here. Mr. President.
That's D. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm asking for D, item D, 5D, just an explanation.
Corey? I'm Attorney Blosh. Sorry.
This is a CEA that allowed a matching of $500,000 for the endowment for the endowment professorships, and so it was required that we do a CEA with the foundation who had the matching funds, and so $1 million will be 500 from that will have been identified from the foundation and 500,000 from Title III to help with the endowment of professorships. And so that's all. It's just an agreement to confirm that.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'd encourage the staff to go back to putting little blurbs under these items where they do a little brief explanation. It may help smooth things along.
We'll get that done. It's an attachment in the agenda, but that's a good idea. I mean, it should have been in there. Board member Todd, Dr. Todd.
No, I'm sorry. I was just.
Oh, he's coming. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, the motion's been made in global. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item 6, resolutions. Yes, sir. Who's back?
Test. Okay.
Let's see if we can get board member Fundale in here.
They don't have
That was an action item, and you need one more member back on the floor.
We didn't rush you, did we? Okay. We're going to go back over the motion. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Counselor. Item number 6, resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, condolences to the family of Miss Cheryl Coleman Bass. Miss Cheryl Coleman Bass received her Bachelor's of Science degree in Engineering from Louisiana Tech University and her Master's of Science degree in Computer Science from Southern University and A&M College. Miss Bass' parents and oldest daughter, Carmen, are alumnus of Southern University as well. She passed away on June 18th, 2023. To the family of Miss Vera Skinner Henry, Miss Henry graduated from Southern University with a Bachelor of Science in Home Economics and received the advanced degrees from Grambling State University and the University of Louisiana in Monroe. She and her late husband, Lewis, instilled in their children the love of God and family, education, and community commitment. They were a Southern University Jaguar family. All 6 children and 7 grandchildren graduated from Southern University. This was quite a legacy. She passed away on June 28, 2023. Miss Maculine Arlene Jenkins Joseph family. Miss Jenkins Joseph, affectionately known as Mackie, was a 1964 graduate of Southern University Laboratory School and a 1968 graduate of Southern University and A&M College with a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration. Miss Jenkins Joseph was also a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and a Sapphire Life member of the Southern University Alumni Federation, where she served as National Recording Secretary for 22 years under 6 different national presidents, including her husband, Reggie. In 1999, Miss Jenkins Joseph was inducted into the SU Alumni Federation Hall of Fame. She passed away on July 13th, 2023. We have one accommodations, and that is to Colonel Paris D. Davis. Paris D. Davis was born May 13, 1939 in Cleveland, Ohio. He went on to earn a degree in political science at Southern University in 1959. He enlisted into the United States Army as an officer, having successfully completed the ROTC program during his college years. He earned airborne and ranger qualifications in 1960 and special forces qualifications in 1962. He completed 3 tours of duty. His initial overseas tours included South Korea, South Vietnam, and Okinawa, Japan. It would be on June 18, 1965, Colonel Davis and 3 of his Special Forces team led the Army of the Republic of Vietnam in a 19-hour battle at an attack on a Vietcong base that he would see his most heroic efforts. Those efforts would result in accounting for some of his 11 wounds received through his military career. He would risk his life in saving his fellow soldiers and defeat the enemy with artillery fire and hand-to-hand combat. Colonel Davis is the recipient of numerous medals and awards, including the Silver Star, the Purple Heart. Numerous attempts were made, resulting in his paperwork being lost each time. On March 3rd, 2023, he was finally recognized for his actions on June 18, 1965, during the Vietnam War, when President Joseph Biden awarded him the Medal of Honor. This concludes our resolutions.
Thank you, Dr. Vital. You've heard the resolutions. What's your motion? Moved by Board Member Ann Smith, properly seconded by Dr. Whitfield. Discussion. Hear none? All in favor, aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item 7, informational items A and B, Presidential Report, B, Chancellor's Reports. Mr. President.
Yes, I hope each of the members of the board have had a chance to peruse the missive I sent out yesterday. I apologize. It was my intention to get that to you a week earlier, but in the process of trying to gussy it up and that kind of thing, it took back and forth some. I will try to be a little more on time next month when I deliver that to you. I've already mentioned it, but I will tell you that one of the things we're going to do with Colonel Paris Davis is invite him to the Bayou Classic. And as part of that, I want to make sure this board gets a chance to spend some time with this remarkable individual. I got to have a couple of meals with him and spend some time talking with him. And given what he has been through, the humility and grace with which he's dealt with that, and his willingness to continue contributing to society is just remarkable. Those 2 days probably had more of an impact on me than anything in the last 10 years. And the beauty of it is he shared that with the Jaguar Success Academy and numerous other folks around the campus. But he's remarkable, and I really do hope he can make it to the victorious Bayou Classic that we'll have soon. And it's the 50th. Very briefly, the Jaguar Success Academy, to be candid, there's a few fewer students than I had shot for. We were hoping to have as many as 250. We have 170. I think they're having a great experience. The success of bridge programs is well documented. So I think viewing this as a pilot program that we find the funding to expand exponentially next year is really important. I think the board chair had a chance to interact with them.
Yes.
They're a wonderful, engaging group. The one complaint I've heard is that there's a curfew that they've objected to. This also gives a chance for wraparound services throughout the first year and the opportunity to create a data set that shows us some things that are most effective about the bridge program. In all candor, we're all hands on deck. I will thank Chief of Staff. What is your name? Vital, and Acting Vice Chancellor Desiree Honoré Thomas for their very active engagement in hammering away at our service providing staff to make this work. We're a little ahead of the curve. There's more students paid now. I think we've had a series of successful orientations, but the proof is going to be in the pudding over the next couple of weeks. I don't want to eat up a lot of time because I want you to hear from the chancellors. I do want to prompt the board that we're through the good offices of Senator Fields. We have this opportunity to develop an economic development district. We're developing the documents. I wouldn't say mirrors, but aligns with the similar district for LSU, but there's a different purpose to it, approach to it, because we're basically in an industrial area and they're in a more commercial area. But I will be reporting next month on the progress towards that process. It really is kind of significant to get it in place as quickly as possible, because we're missing out on money we could be collecting the longer it takes us to get that done. In addition, I want to alert the board that there's another piece of that legislation that includes incremental taxes on industrial that we don't control, that still passes through Baton Rouge. My understanding is that about a quarter of that money, when those projects start, will be coming to Southern to spend however we'd like. Early projections is that will be $1 million spread over 3 years. How soon it might start coming will be dependent upon when this industrial partner actually starts the work. I'll stop there to leave time for my colleagues, unless there are any particular questions.
Yes, Board Member Fundell.
President Shields, I do appreciate the letter that you sent us with regards to keeping up with what you're doing. I look forward to receiving more of those. They're very informative as to exactly what is kind of going on.
They just don't need to be every 7 months, huh?
Yes, sir.
I got it.
Yes. I also want to commend you on the effort with the students. I know we spoke earlier about moving toward retaining more students, and I think this is an excellent way to work toward achieving that goal of the students that we need. We don't want to be put in a position of having, to make some drastic budget cuts. And if, as a system, we can continue to enhance retention, not just at this campus, but it's needed at all of our campuses. So I hope as a system we can work to make something that's universal, that works across all boards here. So I just want to commend you on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on the President's report? Chancellor Emeritus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Chancellor's report is in your packet, and I'm not going to go through each of those. I want to make an announcement and make a request. The cybersecurity program at Southern University at New Orleans has been designated by Cisco as a networking academy. And I'm not versed well enough in networking to talk with you about the details of that. But as you know, Cisco was the pioneer of networking in the technology environment. But as an academy, our faculty will receive the coursework with no charge from Cisco. And the people in the New Orleans area who want to be certified as network engineers would have the opportunity to go through that certification with SUNO. We will also have available to us internships with Cisco for our students, and all of the courses that we will teach in the program will be aligned with industry certifications. My request, Mr. Chair, is that you would allow our program leader in cybersecurity and representatives from Cisco to come and make a presentation so that you would better understand the significance of this designation for our cybersecurity program. Thank you.
Absolutely. I had the privilege, I know, I think Board Member Smith and Board Member Gaines may have been on the tour. When we toured, I hate to say it for lack of a better word, how to hack a computer. Yeah. He's teaching coursework over there that's very significant. And when you look at what's going on, it's very, very impressive. I'm surprised they're learning to do what they should not be doing. But FBI and several other governmental agencies are looking for folks to break into computers so they could solve the problems it's challenged with. So it was very, very impressive. I encourage you, when you get the opportunity, you were there, Zell, and Zell was there, Board Member Dudley. Take a chance to go look at what they're doing over. It's a interesting niche on an emerging offering of a degree. So thank you, Chancellor Emeritus.
By the way, Mr. Chairman, just yesterday I spoke with representatives of the CIA who will be coming to visit the program and the lab as well.
Wonderful. Board Member Fondell.
Chancellor, I want to thank you for your service as the Executive Vice President. I can remember years ago when you came in, we've had numerous discussions in your office, but taking upon the challenge with your prior experience of going to the SUNO campus, you know, when we had challenges, to be in a position to go there to work through those challenges. So I just want to commend you on that and your service as our Executive Vice President for this system over that period of time also. So again, just thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. I agree. This guy stepped up in a very challenging time for us. And he's trying to bring sports back. And you trying to tell me that you don't believe sports matters. You tell that to LSU. You tell that to Alabama. You tell that to Jackson State. Sports matter. So we're all into the holistic approach of giving these students an experience they're going to enjoy as they matriculate. Dr. Hamilton.
Speaking of athletics, we are now holding tryouts for our volleyball team, which will begin competing in the fall. And we also have, we have totally about 50 new athletes. The other program is baseball, which will start in the spring.
Okay, congratulations.
Point of information. Chancellor, if you would you tell me the programs that you do have available? You have baseball, you have volleyball, basketball.
That's it right now, men and women's basketball.
Okay. And you need athletes for those. You need athletes for those particular sports, correct?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes.
What about track? It was asked.
Well, that's a part of the next phase of the plan. You know, remember, we're doing this phased approach so that we do it fiscally responsibly, you know.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Dr. Gant Sussler.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. President Shields, members of this honorable board. Last month, I mentioned we had our Gentleman Cooking Classic. We was preparing for the Gentleman Cooking Classic, and we held it on June 24th. I just wanted to report this morning that it was indeed a success. We had over 2,400 participants in the community there. We featured one of our graduates here of Southern University, Mr. Damon Chapman. He's alumni and he served in the Human Jukebox, but he was one of our featured chefs. He's owner of Orlando Seafood in Shreveport. I wanted to mention we also had individuals who had at least 50 booths. We raised over $110,000. And I say we, I want to give credit where credit is due. Mr. Frank Williams and the Southern University Foundation raised over $110. And they also created 4 new scholarships in the amount of $25,000 that will be awarded to Southern University students. And so that was a great success, and I want to mention that. This summer we have several camps on our campus. Over 200 students have participated in our camps, and we have our bridge programs going on as well through our TRIO programs. Next month, I will be able to report more of enrollments in those particular programs. And you have my report in your packet, and so that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chancellor. I commend Mr. Williams, certainly to come in the interim along with Dr. Penning and do some phenomenal things in that short period. Speaks volumes, and please extend my congratulations to him on a successful Men Who Cook. Is it Men Who Cook?
The Gentleman's Cooking Classic. So yes, it's mostly men, but they've invited women chefs to cook this year.
Good. Alexander's men is cook.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Dr. McMeans, what do you say?
I'll be brief because Chancellor Gant tapped me on the shoulder and said I had my time. She's learning very quickly.
I already bought it.
You already got it. You have the Chancellor's report, and I would draw your attention to the 2 summer programs, the Bayou annual Bayou program, which is our annual program, but JADcation, which is our newest one, ask you to draw your attention to that as well. And I will say about the Bayou program, we had 24 recent graduates from high school, and all 100 will be freshmen in the fall. So we do have that pipeline established for getting those individuals. And I have just one announcement. The Southern University Ag Center, in conjunction with University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, Kentucky State, and FAMU, received $10 million award in connection with the Next Gen grant. Southern University will be receiving 2.2 million of that. And I haven't had a chance to even tell the president because the secretary just announced it. And so we were given the green light. And so with that $2.2 million, we will recruit students, give scholarships, experiential learning, not only within the country, but also internationally. And we'll also develop a pipeline to USDA. So we're excited. And this was Dr. Toledo was the one that provided leadership. And of course, Dr. Renita Marshall in the College of Agriculture will put this into implementation. So thank you. That concludes my report.
That's why I call him Dr. Mac means what he says, because he goes after the money, he gets it. So congratulations, Dr. McMeans. Chancellor Pierre.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Well, first of all, I want to thank the president for recommending me for this executive vice president's position. And I want to thank the board for having the confidence in me. I could not do this unless I had good people behind me, and they're in the room, my vice chancellors, who work so very hard to carry out what we need to do for students each and every day. And being an alum of Southern University and A&M College, I realized the challenges that are faced with the Baton Rouge campus, and the president has worked very, very hard to cure those challenges. And I look forward to working with him and everyone else to help cure those challenges, because we are at a very pivotal point in the history of Southern University and A&M College. We have great opportunities. We have the ability to rise as high as anyone. And I believe that we will do the work that's necessary to get things the way we want them to be and the way you want them to be. I want to thank my colleagues, chancellors and Sahu, because, you know, each and every day they rise with a purpose for making lives of students better. And I'm very, very fortunate I saw Dr. Leardre Williams the first time I ever got on a plane 45 years ago. Dr. Williams was on that same plane. You could see I was nervous. And I had a little bucket of chicken that my mother prepared. Yes, a little small bucket of chicken, because she just didn't know when I would eat again. And it was a great thing she did it, because that day things got bad with the plane, and I ended up flying for like 12 hours in alternative routes, and I was not hungry.
Everybody else.
But today is a great day for all of us, because we do so much in this week, particularly with Colonel Davis here. It reminded me of my days in ROTC. And I'm always thankful for the great Southern University.
Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor. And we appreciate you taking on this very, very challenging responsibility. And you know what this board and the administration thinks about you. You have our full support. I'm going to stay out of your way, empower you to do what you need to do. I'm looking for change. I'm looking for change. And you're gonna bring that change in the short term that's going to be sustainable. And I'm not going to lean on you for anything, and just do what you need to do. And just Jackson State and FAMU gang, give me 4 tickets to the suite. We'll be okay. But thank you so much. And Dr. DeVerne, I think, was out here in the audience. Faculty Senate members, I am so impressed that you all are coming out here and voicing your opinions. Dr. DeVerne and I shout, we praise each other, then fight again, but we never fall out. That's what it's about. We're into rigorous, respectful debate. And this mic will always be open to the members of the faculty that wants to come here and have rigorous, respectful debate in the interest of this system. So thank you again, Faculty Senate, for being out here. And I want to recognize a talented young lady who's here. And some of you may not know her. I'm going to ask her to stand up. Where is President Jackson, Tony Jackson? Give her a round of applause. She's there. I've known Tony many years, very talented employee, and she is the president of the Staff Senate and does a very good job. We hear you. I've had a long conversation with the 2 folks that dealing with finance on this campus, Ms. Desiree Thomas and Mr. McClinton. We realize the deficiencies on the staff side. We know the staffing side of it, and we also know the pay side of it. And I promise you they are working daily on that. So please let the faculty know, the staff know that we hear them, and we're looking for solutions to the concerns that you all have. I promise you that. Thank you, Professor Pierre. Chancellor Provost, I should say. What is your official title, Dr. Sahu?
Anything that you ask.
Okay. Yeah. Dr. Vice Chancellor, how's that? Dr. Sahu, please. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, Chancellor, and Honorable Member of the Board of Supervisors for Southern University System and Southern University campus here. I would love for you to, the President highlighted the Jaguar Success Academy. I would love for you to be part of the agenda someday and see what you're contributing to in terms of transforming life in a positive way. We are helping prepare these students from coming all over the country, all over Louisiana, so that they can have productive careers and live noble lives. It's a wonderful experience to go and visit orientation or the Jaguar Success Academy and feel energized, feel inspired to come and do your work. You have the Chancellor's report with you. I talked a little bit about the Jaguar Success Academy. Mr. President spoke about it, but 2 items new that I want to share with you. One is that last night I got a note from the College of Nursing and Allied Health that I want to share with you, that our nursing passage rate for the first timers is 96%.
That's good.
And for the repeaters, it is 100% with a total of 96.43%. There are not many institutions that can, it will be the envy of many for achieving this success. So through you, I would like to express my appreciation and recognition for the dean and for the faculty, and of course for the hardworking students at this college, and not faculty everywhere who have contributed to the success, because these students without taking biology and chemistry would not be where they are. Faculty at Southern University Baton Rouge campus, that you have contributed to this success that today I have the honor to highlight. Mr. Chairman, you said sports matters. I want to share with you something sports related that you all probably are not aware of because it's not in the radar. There is a game called cricket. And this game is played a lot part of the world, but is becoming popular in the United States. There are leagues, both in the North American League is becoming popular. So the campus of LSU and SUBR went into a challenge and went into the first university cricket tournament or two game. And in this, on Sunday, July 9th, 2023, LSU and SUBR played a limited over cricket match. SUBR team was captained by Mr. Poonam Sai Vadi. The Tigers won the toss and elected to bat. They scored 136 runs with a loss of 8 wickets. SUBR followed, and I have the joy to share that they scored 137 with 6 wickets and few overs left. Jaguars won the first match by 4 wickets.
That's good news.
And we have a trophy that if you authorize, I want it to be displayed the next
And
board
you
meeting
display
with
it,
the
and
team.
and what I want you to do is bring the team. Those
Yes,
that's
sir.
present, okay?
It'll be an honor to do that. Many of the students,
And
we have
I'm gonna do a little research because I don't even know what the outfit looks like. But I know they throw us stuff with a mitt or something.
Oh, I will ask them. In fact, I have a picture that I'll send to you. They're all wearing blue, the Columbia blue
Oh, that's
outfit
good.
with Jaguars emblazoned,
We wanna
on the
recognize
chest. Yes, sir. Thank you.
How many field goals did they kick the game?
So,
How many field goals did they kick?
Yeah,
there are no field
Oh, okay,
goals.
no, that's wrong.
Maybe they can give a primer
Yeah,
in most international venues.
Cricket 101. Yeah,
Yes, that we could have a board team meet with the faculty team. We could do that.
Stick with the practice of medicine. Okay, is there anything else that needs to come before the board for the good of the system? Hear no one responding to other business. If not, I'll entertain a motion for number 9.
Motion. Second.
You've heard the motion, properly second. Go and say.